Ahem. All right. And hit that like.
Outside, it's packed.
Let everybody know we're here. Come on now. Let's do it. It's Friday. Coming right up. 3, 2, 1, maybe. Yeah. Looking good. Let me check real quick. Yes. Okay. Instagram is live again. It's aggravating. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't. Is Twitch not on? Is we're good? Are we all firing on all cylinders? Is everything up and running? That's always the question. That's the problem with these streamages is mic's good, audio's good. Thank you, Andrea. Visuals are all good. I'm good. You're good. Instagram is it's all right. It's okay. I will say it's kind of nice. I got some youngins in the family. I got some second cousins who are like nieces and nephews to me, and for all practical purpose. Let's be honest, very close family. Even my extended family is close. We're all, even my first cousins are brothers and sisters. My second cousins are first cousins. That's how we do it in this family, on a personal level. And my second cousins, who are my cousins' kids, are like my nieces and nephews, and it's just great. And my nephew the other day was like, every time I turn on Instagram, it's like, Hal Sparks is live. And I was like, ha ha, I am capturing the young and bringing in the audiences of tomorrow yes, instead of just chasing around the audience of yore, which is you guys. Hi guys, how are you? You look like a bunch of drowning rats in California. Well, I'm about to join you. I'm driving in tonight. I will be taking I'm gonna take a little time to think things over, and drive safely, because that's how I do it. I'm gonna read between the lines. Let's see. First of all, the continued fallout to the ridiculous interview with Vladimir Putin is hilarious to watch, and we talked about a little bit this morning with our dear friend Texas Paul. If you didn't get a chance to check that out, it was a pretty good morning show, if I do say so my damn self. And Hal, I bet to say your favorite color is black, says Georgina. No, it isn't, Georgina. I'll have you know that red A darkish red is my favorite color. Black is a shade, not a color, at least when it comes to clothing. Just saying. So I do like black, but it's interesting. The only problem I have with it is that my hair bleeds into it, and then it just looks like I'm wearing a hoodie. You know what I mean? That's the only issue. Anyways, more JoJo Monday, please. Oh, we'd love to have JoJo back on. Say it ain't so, JoJo. Yeah. I missed a couple of earthquakes. Yeah, I heard. I just saw that one as I was looking in. Oh, thank you, Luis. Housemark, CNN can F off along with the right-wing news organizers pushing President Biden is forgetful. Yeah. We'll get to that some, because that's obviously part of the clips we have today. There's a bit of that going on, because everybody's mad. They're all super mad. Also, can I just say, one of the most reliable things, I think, in modern politics, in this unreliable environment we find ourselves in, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, children of all ages, is the idea that Trump at some point will get a toehold on Joe Biden or something, and he'll dunk on him and it'll stick. And I gotta say, that used to be, I guess, the generalized belief system, and I'm sure there's some people who still feel that way. But the reality is, what you can always rely on is that right about the time Trump would have some sort of like a foothold or a toehold or a grip above Biden on anything, he will fuck it up. Just count on it. So right now, I'll give you an example. Right now, oh, get out of here, you silly thing. That's this screen. Hold on. Why must you do this to me? Why? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll fix it myself. So we'll go to take this down here, and we'll drag this down or whatever. And I just have to fix this business. It resets my screen sometimes. There you go. Whoops, I don't want that. I want this. Primary monitor. There we go. See this? Now it works. Such a weird thing. I don't understand. This is Trump. He's about to speak someplace. Is it here? Is he in Vegas? No, he's at an NRA event. That's right. He's where's this NRA event? In Pennsylvania. And where he'll go on about how he won the state 3 times, and really, if you think about it, every time, and blah, 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 blah. And he has kind of a perfect setup. Biden made that Egypt-Mexico gaffe, single word flip-flop, but still plenty for them to jump on to this report from this guy saying that even if we did bring him in, he'd be able to sound like an old man who doesn't recall something like this, and he would get away with it. Which, by the way, if anybody remembers the Reagan years, that was a running gag with Ronald Reagan. I don't recall. That was probably, of all the phrases that around Ronald Reagan, besides just saying, well, the other thing that they would always do in terms of if somebody was doing a Reagan impersonation, it was always, I can't recall. And that was a direct reference to both his age, his shaky head, and his sort of tardive dyskinesia around the shit. And it was about his about Iran-Contra, the fact that he was pretending or actually could not remember what happened in terms of what went on with Iran-Contra. Right? I don't recall, and that ultimately had zero impact on the rest of his presidency. And Republicans were the first ones to fly in and rescue him on that stuff, right? So that was Reagan's line on Iran-Contra, exactly. And that's how he got around it. That's the whole, I don't recall. Well, I don't recall. Every time. That was like every hack comic I saw doing Reagan in some way or another, always, that was the go-to line. All right. So, needless to say, the Trump will come out and screw this up. Trump will come out at this thing, his little get together in Pennsylvania, and he will fuck this up. He will come in and he'll either bore the shit out of everybody, get angry about the wrong thing, blather, make up, probably go off on how smart Tucker and Putin sounded, all that shit. Now, there's a lot of, look at this. This is the biggest crowd he's had in a while. And still gaps over here, gaps over here, gaps over here. Everybody's up in this side, but they couldn't afford the, I guess, Section 18. Wonder what Section 8 looks like. That's the entire floor. And they're like, this place is packed. It's an NRA gathering. It's all the gun advocates in the area. So it's a dual use thing. This is like when Trump shows up at like UFC fights or something like that, and he just basically borrows the crowd. So, anyways, he's supposed to be already on now, and he's keeping them hanging. So we will check in at some point. But first, let us go, ladies and gentlemen, if we can, to the most miserable man on the internet, Greg Kelly, reacting to the fact that Joe Biden is not going to be charged for not breaking the law. It's bizarre. It's uncomfortable. It's something that Greg is having a difficult time dealing with it. And also, I think we can all agree that it's nice. I guess he can go to work tonight totally and totally relax in the understanding that he will not anytime soon cease to be the most miserable man on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the king of the bus riders himself. It's Mr. Lonely Chair, Greg Kelly, Mr. Smelly. Here we go.
But I remember the year, and I remember everybody talking about...
Hold on.
I was a toddler in 1973.
I got news for you, motherfucker. You're a toddler now.
But I remember the year, and I remember...
Yes. And by the way, I think Greg Kelly's the same age as me. Yeah, I remember 1973 too, but the idea that you remember it because of then versus when Nixon stepped down or any of that shit, like you remember that because it happened then as opposed to all the news reports you've seen since then, and that's where your memory comes from.
Everybody talking about Richard Nixon.
Yeah, that's what you remember. Sitting around, you're just little Greggy Kelly running around. One of his he's 6 years old already, and the third word he was able to speak without making everyone laugh was Nixon.
And the word resign. And I remember...
Oh, yeah, I remember that too. You remember, what's that word mean? I remember fondling that word in my head, going, resign. What was it? What it would be like to be that like old enough to resign from something or to resign to your fate or something. I remember I played with the word in my toddler head.
I remember hearing siege. I didn't understand it, but it was White House under siege. People were...
Were they... What were you raised by migrants under a porch? Siege? Is it a family joke about how little Greg Kelly used to pronounce siege? No wonder you like Trump with scourge and all that shit.
About him being under siege.
There's no way this is true. Sorry. Okay. We'll get there.
Deja vu.
You can pronounce that just fine. How'd you pronounce that when you were 3? Deja vang?
Night.
Deja vu'd?
Feels like 1973.
Really? Why? Did you forget to manscape?
The Nixon administration, and when the country caught on, the whole country, especially the media, that this presidency will probably come to an end.
Okay, first of all, stop licking your lips, you creep. Quit. What is that? Quit it. I mean, the tongue jut is bad enough, but you slathering about, licking your chops, it's nasty. It's fucking nasty.
And not at the end of a 4-year term.
think it's gonna? When do you think the trial's gonna start? You dumb son of a bitch. Why? His first term. We're less than a year away to the end of it. There is no situation in any circumstance where this. I like, and this. He's talking about the records. He's talking about that shit. He's not even talking about the bullshit Hunter Biden laptop nonsense. He's given up on that a long time ago.
From the special counsel, Mr. Herr,
is that a? I'm surprised we're not hearing more like pronoun jokes from these assholes.
Apocalyptic takedown of Joe Biden and any shred of his integrity, ability, decency, judgment.
No. If there were no shreds of his integrity or his decency or his judgment left, they'd be charging him.
It annihilates all of it.
Well then, all right. Let me just follow you down that road, Greg. You silly man. If that's what it does to Biden, it recommends charges against Trump. If he's, then he would be. You understand? I'm trying to speak your language, brother.
All of it. And Joe, who at one point so gleefully pointed his finger at Donald Trump, and he still does it in desperation, he's guilty of what he accused his enemy of all along.
No, he isn't.
And government prosecutors are saying that. Government prosecutors.
Why are you whispering? Why are you talking like this? Now, I understand. I can see that there's an overhead light on you, which means you might be doing the show from home and you forgot to turn off your overhead light. That happens. Sometimes that happens. Are you whispering because you are doing the show from your mom's guest bathroom? Lick your lips twice for yes and 4 times in a really creepy way for of course.
Who work for the government right now. It is amazing.
One.
Let's start with the report from Mr. Herr issued this afternoon.
Let's do that. Let's start with her. Start with her. Mr. Herr, we'll start with that. Let's start. We'll try to. Willfully retained his closed classified materials after his classified materials after his vice presidency when he was a private citizen. Also, classified information, not materials, because he was talking about his, and it wasn't classified. It was private conversations with the president.
President Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified materials after his vice presidency.
By the way, everything the government is classified. It's just classified what? Secret, top secret. You even classify stuff for public dissemination.
See, when he was a private citizen. Let that sink in. That is a damning statement.
Ugh, it's rough. It's really rough. You should go straight to the part where he did it in such a way, and the stuff that he was talking about was of such a serious nature that charges need to. Oh, right.
That is a crime. That is
no, it's not.
A felony.
No, it's not.
Disclosed materials. And it's not just a label. There's evidence.
All right.
Real evidence.
Let's go with the real evidence.
This is what real criminal justice looks like. Not all those crazy indictments we've been following of Donald Trump. This is the real
of course
deal.
Not.
It's a takedown of...
Hold on, Greg, for 1 second. Hi, I'm on the air. Can I help you?
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking you were be off by now.
No, I just started. It's 3:30. Hi, everybody, mom. Everybody, mom.
Hello.
Are you okay? Can I call you back after I'm done?
Yeah, but you won't do it.
Yes, I will. Oh, of course I will. I love you.
I love you too. Okay.
Just because If my show goes long, does not mean I'm blowing you off right after the show. It means the show's longer than that. You know this.
Right.
Love you.
Okay, Lynn.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
You always have to take your mom's call. Always. It's very important. Yep. Anyways, where were we? I was talking about this.
Joe Biden, but it's also a total stinging rebuke of Jack Smith and the horrendous politicization of the Justice Department. Back to the report, please.
Yeah, back to the report. Get back to the report. Don't speak loud. I'll lose my erection. Shh.
Issues of national security and
I'm dead serious. I think he's doing this from home and he's in the bathroom and everybody's like, Greggy, are you doing your show? Like, maybe I'm a little sensitive because my mother just
foreign policy implicating sensitive intelligence sources and methods. FBI agents recovered these materials from the garages, offices, and basement den.
I'm dead serious. He's fucking whispering. This is weird.
Mr. Biden's Wilmington, Delaware home.
Yes, where he said, go get this stuff. Look through it. I will not stop you. That's not willful retention. That's the difference. If there was this idea that I took it because I wanted to and I'm keeping it because I want to, that's willful retention. There's no evidence he did that.
And you want to see what that looked like? You probably have by now, but let's take another look. A pigsty.
A pigsty.
Listen to this. These are the Afghanistan documents were ultimately found in Mr. Biden's Delaware home.
The Afghanistan documents. Oh, those.
Home. In a badly damaged box in the garage near a collapsed dog crate, a dog bed.
A dog bed, dog stuff, dogs in general. Ugh. That's why he likes Trump, because Trump doesn't like dogs.
Zappos box, an empty bucket, a broken lamp wrapped with duct tape.
What do you think? Do you think the broken lamp wrapped with duct tape was a spy for the Chinese?
Potting soil and synthetic firewood.
And he switched to Peloton. He started riding his bike or whatever, but there's a treadmill there too, and a rocking chair, which apparently you'd think he'd make an old thing. And there's the Corvette over there, which is very nice. Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. Thank you.
Do you remember Joe Biden's indignation when the FBI staged those documents on the floor? Donald Trump didn't leave them there. The FBI put them there. And what?
Yeah, we know, because he was hiding them in a box.
What did Joe Biden say about that after the crime of Mar-a-Lago being raided?
When you saw the photograph of the top secret documents laid out on the floor at Mar-a-Lago, what did you think to yourself, looking at that image?
How that could possibly happen, how anyone could be that irresponsible. And I thought, what data was in there that may compromise sources and methods? By that I mean names of people who helped, or et cetera. And it's just totally irresponsible.
Yeah, because that was specific to those actual actions. The Afghanistan documents that Greg is talking about is his notes to Obama about why we should get the fuck out of Afghanistan. Not who is giving us intel.
Well, sources and methods. Obviously, the hypocrisy is beyond. Politically, it's unrecoverable. It should.
Sure it is. It's not unrecoverable. If it's unrecoverable, then the dude actually being charged shouldn't even be able to run for fucking office. If Biden has to step down, Trump has to go to fucking jail, dummy. That's how this works. Yeah, and there were no top secret folders in there at all.
It should be unrecoverable. And I think even the mainstream media will not be able to protect this man any longer.
Yeah, it's gonna pass. It's gonna. This is not apocalyptic. Sorry.
Should they want to?
He literally came out and said, I'm glad that they said no charges were warranted in this case.
You heard about methods and procedures.
Yes, I did. But will you speak up, please, you strange little man? I don't know. The whispering there's got to be a reason for it. Did Greta Van Susteren yell at him to keep it down right before the show?
He didn't know that. He was guessing. He was trying to scare people. He was trying to win points for himself.
No, he knew. You could see on the fucking envelopes, dumb fuck. That's where it said it had the red outline on all these. None of the. Did you notice in those boxes you showed there was none of that shit?
They found methods and procedures, sensitive stuff in that silly garage of his.
Yes, sensitive, not classified. Do I have to? All right. Can I show you something else? Can I? Let me just we'll go down to. I'll have to do a search, and we'll go to this one of my favorite things to pull up. This U.S. Department of State. There you go. Not for public release. This is the thing that's posted right now on let's see. Yeah, there you go. Sensitive but unclassified. That's the standard. Sensitive. This is sensitive. This thing's sensitive. Now, John Solomon has this posted on his fucking website. Is John Solomon no longer a trusted source because he puts sensitive stuff on a fucking website where anyone in the entire fucking world, never mind breaking into a goddamn garage. This guy, I mean, I guess anybody in the world, our enemies can see this, Greg. This is sensitive stuff. Sensitive. Oh. When did he turn into like Eugene Levy's version of Floyd the Barber on Andy Griffith? Sensitive. Oh.
Now, Joe Biden also, it looks like, I think he was arrogant with these investigators because they get a little snippy here with Joe. Back to the report. Early on.
Not snippy. You mean after they apocalyptically ruined his career, they were also snippy?
On page 2, Joe Biden sees himself, Mr. Biden has long seen himself as a historic figure.
He's the fucking president of the United States, asshole. All right, look. Let me, come here. Okay. During I'll just say a proceeding at one point, I had to go in for a psychological evaluation for something that was going on. And the psychiatrist that did the thing, did the report on me, said that I show like narcissistic personality traits, not because I think the sun shines out of my ass or I'm a cool guy or something like that. It's just that I'm aware that when I'm in public, people know who I am. Now, this was done like in the middle of me filming Lab Rats after I had already had 3 hit series in a row. And it still happens. My long hair gives me a little bit of wiggle room. But if my hair's back, believe me, people recognize me. And the idea, this guy didn't know who I was. So they're like in the check, in the like multiple choice or the written part of it. Oh, believe me, I am an absolute narcissist, but not for the reason this guy thinks so. That's what I'm talking about. This guy was talking about like this. Hal Sparks clearly thinks that like, when he's out in public, people know who he is and care who he is and stuff. It's just weird, you know. And I'm like, do you know what I do for a living? No idea. Okay. All right. So, the idea that he'd long seen himself as a historic, when he is interviewed by this motherfucker, he'd already been vice president, and he is president. He's also one of the longest serving members of the House and Senate. Everybody who serves in office thinks that of himself. Jesus Christ. Anybody who becomes president has to think of themselves as a historic person, or they wouldn't go through the process.
Elected to the Senate at age 29.
Yeah, that's basically what he wrote, pal. Nobody now. Yeah, this guy on TV thinks he's been on TV. That's exactly basically what the guy wrote, without him being aware of what I do for a living. Even though I explained it, it was weird, and I even explained the difference between those. Like, I'm still me, and I'm still I act the exact same. I'm still surprised to this day, when people come up.
He considered running for president as early as 1980. I did not
He was already in the House. Was he in the Senate at that point? I think so. He considered it? Dear God.
know that. And did so in 1988.
How many times have we seen that picture of fucking Bill Clinton with Kennedy? Are you nuts?
2008 and 2020. He believed his record during decades in the Senate made him worthy of the presidency.
And he was right. He fucking won the presidency. Let's shove all this shit aside. Fucking hell. Joseph Robinette Biden is the president of the United States of America. For fuck's sake. He is. You know who also thought that? 81 million voters, you moron.
And he collected papers and artifacts related to significant issues and events in his career.
Oh my God. I have to admit, I and my mother both have a lot of clippings.
He used these materials to write memoirs published in 2007 and 2017.
Uh-huh. Dude, I know a guy who wrote a memoir when he was 22. And you don't know who he is now, and you certainly didn't know who the fuck he was then. He even recorded an audiobook version of it.
To document his legacy and to cite as evidence that he was a man of presidential timber. I love reading it. I've heard the biography a million times, but it's delivered with edge, with a little bit of, it becomes apparent here, but
that Joe Biden thinks he can become president one day? The nerve, right? Also, don't you view Trump's ass as a fountain? You want to talk about somebody like running on ego forever that did not actually deserve it? Get out of here.
Joe, we all know, can blow his head, right? When he's angry.
Can blow his head? I'm not familiar with that phrase, but sure.
When he's challenged, he got angry at them, and they did not believe him. And when you're being lied to and somebody yells at you, they're yelling at you and lying to you at the same time, I don't.
By the way, for the record, both of these interviews, the 5 hours of interviews, the 2.5 hours over the course of, on like a Monday and a Tuesday or whatever it was, are on the 8th and 9th of October. Right after October 7th, he sat down for these fucking things. And you got doing that. You're not interrupting it. You're making sure. But this snippy fuck is digging at you and going, what do you think? You're the president or something? That kind of shit. Meanwhile, he's dealing with the aftermath of what just happened on October 7th and this petty bullshit when he let them go through my shit. I'm not going to even stop you. My lawyer will be there, but you just do what you got to do.
I don't care if you're a 8th grader or a Department of Justice senior lawyer, that's going to get under your skin.
Fuck you. So, an 8th grader?
And if the person doing the lying is the president of the United States or an 8th grader, there's going to be some sort of punishment, and I think we're seeing it.
Yes, what would be the same punishment for an 8th grader? What's the proper punishment for an 8th grader who willfully retains classified documents but turns them in as soon as they found them? I think a reward, maybe.
Here. This is just the tone and style. The substance is
weak.
Devastating on its own.
Yeah, sure. But, you didn't have to go into the tone and the style. Just read the substance. It'll wipe the floor with it.
Now, why was Joe Biden keeping all this classified stuff?
Because it was stuff in and amongst his Senate papers that most of which went to the the Penn's Center as like reference materials for people studying government classes.
Right. Well, they have a motive here. Listen, when he was vice president advising Obama on the war in 2009, they had
By the way, when he was right, and I love Obama, but he should have taken Joe's advice. Joe was against the surge and said, we got to get the fuck out of here. The generals are going to tell you every time that they need this much more time. They don't. They did the same thing to Trump. Trump sucked up to the whole fucking, like, to the generals and all that kind of stuff because he liked them kowtowing because he viewed them as macho and all this shit. So he would listen to them because they're like, you're so smart if you do what we say. And he's like, I am smart if I do what you say. And then Biden comes in and he's like, we're getting out. We're getting out. I don't care if he hasn't prepped. We're like, wrap this shit up. We're out. Now that I'm president, I know what these fuckers are up to.
A difference of opinion. Obama thought they had to surge forces, and Biden thought they should withdraw forces.
Right.
Despite Mr. Biden's advice, the report says, President Obama ordered a surge of additional U.S. troops. And
yes. And Biden was right.
Mr. Biden's views endured sharp criticism from others within and outside of the administration. But he always believed history would prove him right.
And it did. Yes, he was proven right.
He retained materials documenting his opposition to the troop surge, including a classified handwritten memo he sent President Obama over the 2009 Thanksgiving holiday and related marked classified documents. FBI agents recovered these materials from Mr. Biden's Delaware garage and home office, as we mentioned. I've heard a million times that Joe Biden was very sensitive to criticism from the Obama people.
What? So that's why he took this document and put it in his fucking garage? What are you talking about?
You know, you have Team Obama, Team Biden.
No, there was not Team Obama, Team Biden. He was on Team Obama. He just made the point that if I'm going to be your vice president, I want to be the last guy in the room when we're making these kind of decisions. And he was fucking right.
Hunter Biden has actually written about that, how he thought his father was disrespected in the Obama White House.
Right. Greg, explain to us all why we should still be in Afghanistan. And then run us through why the surge was a good idea, dummy.
He's gathering classified material to protect his own reputation. But that's against the law. You're not allowed to take it home.
Okay. Yes, you are. It's sensitive. The classified stuff, the classified handwritten memo that he sent him about, like, we really shouldn't do this, is past its arc of worth. So if you said it in front of anybody and they had to go through a declassification process, they'd say, we're out of Afghanistan. This is not important. This is about the inner workings. The only thing that made it classified was just the fact that it was communication between him and the president.
So, and this stuff was very sensitive stuff. Not
Greg, I like that you're trying harder. It's nice to see. The fact that you have to whisper during all this is a very odd thing. But, you know, swing for the fences, buddy.
just classified stuff. Let's look here. Page 3. Marked classified documents about Afghanistan. They had classification markings up to the top secret, sensitive, compartmented information level. That's
Right. That's the stuff they found that shouldn't have been out. And they were like, his lawyers found that. And they were like, oh, this shouldn't be here. And they contacted him. And he's like, that shouldn't be there. And then they called in the records people and said, come in and get this shit. We're not going to touch it. That's why.
That's serious stuff, folks.
Yeah, but you know what he didn't do? He didn't say, I'm going to leave these boxes in the garage. My attorney's going to look through them, and then they're going to take the shit out and give you guys the stuff back. And then for like a couple of weeks, sat in the fucking house as one of his servants brought in the boxes so he could go through it, remove the classified shit, put it in between picture frames in other boxes to hide it so that when the FBI shows up, it's no longer in there. That would be the crime part, dumb fuck.
These materials were proof, the investigators wrote, Mr. Herr wrote, of the stand Mr. Biden took in what he regarded as among the most important decisions of his vice presidency. Now,
right. Greg, yeah, I appreciate you're trying to dig into this, and I know you want it to mean something, but the problem is, the more you bring this up, the more it's apparent that Biden was right about getting out of Afghanistan while he was vice president, and they should have listened to him. Imagine all the life and treasure we could have saved if we'd have gotten out then.
Now, get this. In a recorded conversation with his ghostwriter in 2017, about a month after he left office, Mr. Biden said, while referencing the 2009 Thanksgiving memo, that he had just found all the classified stuff downstairs. He had just found all the classified stuff downstairs. Okay, people are excited about that. This is the important part. You ready?
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready.
Put it up on screen, please. Oh, first of all, this is the ghostwriter. Mark somebody. This is the guy.
Zwanitzer? It says Zwanitzer on the screen. Does that help?
Guy who helped Joe Biden write his 2017 memoir, his second
Right, that's how a ghostwriter works.
memoir. And Joe Biden gave this guy, a civilian without security clearance, classified information, according to our government. Now,
Yeah, what classify? Well, we'll see. Let's
put it
run
up
it by
on
me.
screen, please. At least 3 times, Mr. Biden read from classified entries aloud to his ghostwriter, nearly verbatim. At least 3 times, Mr. Biden read from classified entries aloud to his ghostwriter, nearly verbatim. Now,
Now, all of these things were water under the bridge in 2017 and were meaningless and had only to do, the only reason they were classified is because they were conversations between him and the president he served. And Obama didn't give a rat fuck if he talked about their conversations in terms of his memoir.
people out there already are saying, well, wait a second, Trump did all this and more. No,
Yes, he did.
no, he didn't. And there is not nearly this specificity.
He showed them the Iran retaliation plan, dummy. He showed it to Mark Meadows' ghostwriters. He showed it to them. He didn't read pieces of it. He didn't read a couple of sentences from it.
In the indictment of Donald Trump. Now, you may remember the audio recording that everybody had a field day with. This is Donald Trump sharing classified information, right? No one has proven yet what he was actually waving around.
Okay, so let's just operate on he was just bullshitting, Greg. That he was holding up a newspaper and saying, this is from the Pentagon, this is our secret plan. So it isn't that he was showing classified plans to Mark Meadows' autobiographers or his biographers or whatever. It was that he was his fake autobiographers, his ghostwriter. He was holding up a newspaper and being a fucking psycho. Like, just being nuts. Going, see this newspaper? It's the U.S. plan for attacking. Like, okay, yeah, much better, much better. He's just crazy then.
But he's not giving anybody information verbatim. There is
He showed it to him, you dumb motherfucker. They're in the room.
a universe of difference between what is alleged in this complaint or this report and what President Trump said here.
Wait a minute, let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this.
Look at this.
You attack and
Hillary
You attack and
would print that out all the time, you know.
she'd send
Private
it,
email.
no, she'd send it to
Yeah.
Anthony Weiner.
That kind of stuff.
that kind of stuff. Asshole, he's showing them. They're seeing it with their own fucking eyeballs. They react to the fact that it's classified before he does. You out of your fucking mind?
It's just, he's not relaying. He's not speaking verbatim about
No, he's showing them the attack plan from the fucking Pentagon while they're filming and recording.
anything. And he's the president. It's another
No, he isn't. He's not the president. This is after.
distinction actually these guys get to. Do you see what's happening here?
Yes, I see a tiny little man very confused about the papers that are stacked on his desk in front of him. That's what I see, Greg. I see you very confused. That's what I see.
Mr. Biden's memory was significantly limited, both during his recorded interviews with the ghostwriter in 2017 and in his interview with our office in 2023. You know, it's one thing if you hear people on cable news talk about Joe Biden's failing brain and memory, but here we have government lawyers presently employed by the Justice Department saying that Joe Biden is out of it. And in the footnotes and in the deep details, it gets...
Also, again, he's talking about something that happened in 2017 while the attack on Israel just happened yesterday. Do you remember when these boxes went out? No, I don't. Do you remember which staff member was in charge of moving these boxes? No, I don't. Why not? Because 1,200 people were killed yesterday, and I just watched a video of a woman who was raped until her pelvis broke, and then they shot her in the head, and then this guy kept raping her corpse. That's why. And now there are people in my own party who want me to negotiate with the people who attacked her. After my own intel people showed me that video. That's why. By the way, that's a true story. I have seen enough of that video.
It's worse. He can't figure out the year he was vice president. It is amazing.
They posted on their Telegram, by the way.
Next, please. We have also considered that at trial, Mr. Biden would likely present himself to a jury, as he did during our interview of him, as a sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory.
Also, no. A sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man, sure. Poor memory, no. Because think of all the things that Joe Biden, currently as president, is considering, and then all the things that went through during his 8 years as president, and then the 2 years afterwards, and the death of his son, and his other son's drug addiction, and all this kind of stuff. And they're going to go, in all that stuff, who packed that box? And you're like, I don't fucking remember. Jesus Christ. We moved out, when we were moving out of there, the primary thing was we were dealing with the fact that Trump had won, and he's a fucking lunatic. He had people coming in all over the place, and we're like, just get this shit out of here, because these assholes might, like, they're pinging, like, Russian servers while this is happening. So just move it. Get this stuff away from him.
You see, that's fascinating.
Stop it.
What this shows is the prosecutors think he did it, right? They think
So what?
he's guilty, but they're not confident they can convince a jury of that.
However, with Trump, they are confident that a jury could be convinced. You know why? Because there's series of text messages and instructions between him and his underlings and Walt T. Nada and all these motherfuckers running this shit back and forth to him. And he Jesus Christ, he screwed his own lawyer.
Isn't that kind of wild?
No, it's not wild at all. It's pretty perfunctory, and it seems like this guy's just being a dick. It sounds like a Comey thing. It sounds like the same thing Comey did in regard to Greg Kelly's The Hidden. Nice reach, Peter. That's very impressive. Yeah, they were like it's kind of like the Hidden is that thing that comes out of people's mouths and go from person to person. But it was like that and V were, I think, two defining symbiote sci-fis back in the day. Well done. He's still like, also, they never show his desk. It's super fucking weird because the studio's too small. He's always looking down. It's very odd.
It will be difficult to convince a jury that they should convict him, by then a former president well into his 80s, of a serious felony that requires a mental state of willfulness.
Right, a mental state of willfulness. Who, to argue that he was fighting to keep this shit when he was totally cooperative.
I wonder if Joe Biden in a million years ever would have imagined, when he started openly talking about stopping President Trump from not just beating him in an election, but preventing him from standing for election. Do you remember this?
We just have to demonstrate that he will not take power if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again.
That would include voting and
the
legal
legitimate
means.
efforts of our Constitution.
Oh my God, the evil, legitimate efforts? How dare he even say that?
I'm looking at the legitimate efforts under our Constitution right here. This report by Mr. Herr. And this man, according
You mean where the report where he says, yeah, we could never, even if we brought charges, we couldn't convince a jury that he willfully did this. We don't even know that he did, even if we suspect he did. He seemed well-meaning when he met with us, and our concern is that a jury will come to the same conclusion that we did.
to these prosecutors, and anybody can see it, is guilty. And it's amazing.
It's amazing. It is amazing. Thanks, Greg. Thanks. Well done, buddy. You you did it without raising your voice or even speaking in a normal tone.
More to say about this. We're only halfway through. It's amazing. Be right back.
By the way, this is where they end the clip. Insofar as I know, there is no follow-up. And even if there is, it's the same shit. Oh, God. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the world of Greg Kelly, the most miserable man on the internet. And by the way, this is also this is basically the talk of right-wing media right now, because the idea is this sort of codifies the idea that Biden's old and shouldn't be allowed to have this stuff, and that it's a wash between him and Trump. It's a wash. It allows them to pretend that Trump didn't actively engage in a conspiracy to hide stuff from investigators, to lock stuff away, that he changed that lock on that room at Mar-a-Lago, which more than likely contains a lot of that shit if he hasn't sold it already. Meanwhile, I take you back to the human thumb, Sean Hannity, one of the main Fox guys who looks like a member of our gang, aged poorly. And let's see, can we do? Yeah, we'll do this. Should back this up. Boop.
His cases to immediately drop. And earlier today, former President Trump, he called on the special.
Okay, boring. Trump calls on the DOJ to immediately drop charges against him in classified docs after Biden decision. No, just because another guy did something similar and it didn't reach the level of prosecution, it just shows what the standard is. That you went well beyond that, dumb fuck.
Counsel in his cases to immediately drop all charges against him, especially in the classified documents.
How about no?
This case, following news that Biden will not be charged. And President Trump called Biden's case, quote, 100 times more severe.
That's adorable.
And called out the two standards of justice in our country. Here now with reaction is.
Well, he told that to Fox News Digital. I didn't realize he was getting the really, the heavy hitters.
Trump legal spokesperson.
Alina
Habba. Legally speaking.
Jesus Christ, she's staring a hole in all of us.
The question I was just asking Greg Jarrett, and by the way, thank you for joining us, Alina. The question I was asking him, now that this is their standard, that you can willfully retain and handle classified documents and not be punished for it, does that open up a legal window for you and your legal team to go in and say, we need equal application of our laws here?
If you get equal application of the laws, then what'll happen is that the initial retention, where the stuff was discovered and immediately handed back, or any of the stuff previous to that where they realized this was there, that immediately gets dropped. And then he still goes to jail for conspiracy. He conspired with Walty Nada and 3 other people. They tried to erase the fucking video servers at Mar-a-Lago to hide the fact that they were shuffling boxes around, dumb fuck. There's nothing even remotely close to that in the Biden stuff.
Absolutely. I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything that stops me from having to actually argue something in court, because fuck me.
The one thing that we learned today from Special Counsel Herr is that there is, in fact, and not that we didn't know it, Sean, 2 systems of justice. One if you're a Republican, one if you're a Democrat. We've seen it.
Well, yeah, there is. I agree. There's 2 systems of justice. If you're a Democrat, if you find out that something illegal is going on, in the case of somebody like Bob Menendez, you immediately go, fuck that guy, get him out of our party. Or if it's something that you realize that you were unintentionally doing from a legal standpoint, you go, oh, this was not intended. Mea culpa. I'm sorry this actually happened. Let's do whatever we can to remedy it immediately. And if you're a Republican, the other side of it is that if you're found out to be engaged in something massively illegal, you say, fuck you, no, I'm not. Come get me, motherfucker. And then you spend the rest of your time hiding the evidence. Oh, you mean on the receiving end of it? I'm sorry, I thought.
Time and time again, you've spoken of it. The way that this
Hababooey, that's funny.
Can be used and what has become obvious that they haven't really thought about is they try and look impartial. They try and say, okay, we're going to raid Mar-a-Lago. Ooh, maybe that was a little too much. Let's peel it back. Let's look at Biden's documents. One thing they're forgetting.
He invited them in. It's a huge part of this. He invited them in. He said, look wherever you need to look. Look at the house. Look in the garage. Look at the Penn Center. Get anything that's in there that might even be close to be considered this way, and put it back where it needs to go. No fight, no harm, no foul. Trump was like, I dare you to come in here, motherfuckers.
That is so clear to me as an attorney, is that, number one, President Trump has one thing that Biden, as Senator Biden, as Vice President Biden, didn't have. The Presidential Records Act, something that has shielded President Clinton. So when you're looking at this dual system of justice, they're...
Oh, she's talking about the Sox case, by the way. Also, I've shown you this many times, but when Obama-Biden came in, Obama signed an executive order saying that the vice president had the same classification and declassification powers that the president had. Just saying.
Going to have to face the music when we're in court. They're going to have to answer questions.
Although I don't know what the rules are, and she might have just stepped in it, and this would be a good question to try and find out, is that while the Presidential Records Act holds all the president's records, does it not hold the vice president's records? And therefore, that's why some of this stuff went with him and didn't, automatically get turned over, because there was even though Biden had the same classification and declassification powers as the president based on that executive order, the retention of the documents is really about the president. That's an interesting line. We'd have to look at that as far as what they hold.
And you know what? We shouldn't even be going to court. Honestly, I agree with my client 100%.
Well, you shouldn't, because you suck. I mean, you're a terrible lawyer. That's right. Elena Haba, you should not be going to court. Yes, I agree. Look at that. We're making progress, everybody. I completely agree with this dizzy asshole. She doesn't belong anywhere near a court. Shit, she shouldn't even be filling out the forms they use to go to court. She shouldn't be going to a fucking food court. She shouldn't be going to night court. She shouldn't be watching episodes of night court. She shouldn't be a guest on the people's court, motherfucker. You shouldn't play tennis. For obvious reasons.
100%. They need to drop charges and let Americans believe that we're not going to be treated differently depending on our politics.
Well, I got news for you. None of us are ever going to be able to experience this, the vast majority of us, because we're not going to have access to the presidential level of above top secret documents in the first place. And I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm making this pledge tonight, if you're welcome. When I become president, I'm only saying this because I hope someone interviews me at some point and goes, this motherfucker thought he could be president way back in 2024/2010/2008, plus some joke he made in 1987 when he was 17. But at no point will I allow top secret or above top secret or classified materials to get into the hands of our enemy or be handled loosely. As a matter of fact, I will institute in my presidency a coding system that involves like an RFID strip in all classified documents that they could be tracked wherever they are all the time. Now, I know, like we have a dollar bill, the line, the little strip that's in a dollar bill that tells you that it's not counterfeit. You can do that with sort of a Bluetooth level tracker in it. I'm sure the Pentagon has tech about that. I can't talk about how I know that because that would sources and methods. Right.
I don't think they're capable of it. I think they have severe Trump derangement syndrome. But, it's very obvious what's happening here. But I do want to thank Special Counsel Hur for making it very clear to the American public that
that while he doesn't like what Biden did, what Trump did was way fucking worse.
Man can't even remember when his son was passed. And more importantly, Sean, did you see what he said today in the press conference? He doubled down on it and said, I didn't think I needed to answer that question. Well, that's another problem that we haven't spoken about. You're sitting in an investigation. You have an obligation to answer truthfully. And
no, you don't. What was the date of your son's death? Fuck you. Fuck is wrong with you? You're going to ask me about dates when boxes were moved around, and then you're going to ask me about my son's fucking coffin? Fuck you. Of course he didn't have to answer that question. What the fuck are you talking about? A, it's a matter of public record. It's not the idea that it matters to him and more than all the days he was sick and all the days he was dying and the funeral and the fucking stuff that they go through every year because they have a memorial for him. Get the fuck out of here.
Honestly. Today was just mind-boggling. They absolutely should drop the charges. We shouldn't even have to go as far as to defend it.
Well, you can't. I mean, of course, that's why you think that.
And then he went for, then right there, he had a memory lapse. I wear this every day, my son's rosary from Our Lady of No Answer. He didn't finish it. Then he said, General.
Well, because he stops himself because he's not going to, and it's none of their goddamn business. He finds himself, but this is stupid. I'm being pulled into this conversation. I do the exact same fucking thing sometimes when I'm arguing these points in the show. I'm like, why the fuck I even have to talk about this again? How many times we're going to cover this shit?
El-Sisi of Egypt was from Mexico. On top of what else has happened this week? You couldn't remember the name Hamas, Francois Mitterrand, Helmut Kohl of Germany when it was Angela Merkel. I just don't know how many of these moments he can keep having when people stay in denial. And for the record, Alina, I faced a lot of criticism when I was probably one of the first people out there to point this out on a regular basis. And, how did I get paid back in return? They tried to compare me to Joe. Well, even Sean Hannity once got mixed up the names of Matt Gaetz and Jason Chaffetz. No, I don't have this problem.
Really? Which one's which? And obviously, we know you know the difference between Jason Chaffetz and Matt Gaetz. One of them sex-trafficked teenagers, and the other one is Jason Chaffetz, right?
And that's the problem also. He's the president of the United States. I don't have the nuclear football next to me
You think the president carries around nuclear weapons?
At all times of my day and night. I don't have that. So, I don't
Sean,
know. What is the country going to take out of this?
Frankly.
We probably would be in better shape.
I think the country has to see it for what it is. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did Sean Hannity just assert that he's a historic figure who should be president one day?
Yeah, we would. Listen, they hit you, they hit me, they hit anybody that stands with what's right and the Constitution.
Well, that's why. So they're not hitting Trump, is what you're saying.
Stands with the moral compass and the boundaries that we used to have as an America. We don't have them anymore.
Well, that's because we didn't have to use it. It's because of your fucking boss. Nobody ever tested it because there was a line we didn't have to cross the line because nobody ran across it and said, you can't catch me. I crossed the line. You guys have to stay on that side of the line. Civilization depends on it.
They fear what they are. They know that President Trump is the right person. They know that we have
the right person for prison? Sure.
Candidate that's fighting him that can't even spell Bob backwards. And we're sitting here trying to deal with and reconcile how we're safe as a country. Well, we're not, which is why they're making fun of us all around the world,
Well, they're making fun of you because, Trump's going to lose basically his entire company because you checked the wrong box.
Why we're seeing what's happening with our borders. And it's complete election interference. It's completely because they have to lie, cheat, and steal in order to win in November. If we don't...
Why? Are you saying they didn't win legitimately last time? Is this you saying that the election was stolen? Are you in charge of coming on Sean Hannity? You're just gonna let her come on and say that the 2020 election was stolen? Is that cool now? Because I don't know if the last time you ran that storyline, it cost you $748 million.
Stop as a country. If we don't wake up and say, this is a man who just frankly can't do it. And by the way, if he can't do it, who are we stuck with? Kamala? Oh, boy, we are in trouble. So as a country, like Alan.
Why is that? I got news for you. She was a prosecutor in California, never caught on the fucking back foot. There's not that I'm aware of. There's not a single legal situation where somebody went to jail who didn't deserve it, or didn't go to jail who did deserve it because she didn't check the right fucking box, dum-dum.
Said, and I love Alan Dershowitz because he
hung out with Jeffrey Epstein and got a massage at the guy's fucking house and went to the island several times and was friends with Trump and with Jeffrey Epstein for a couple of decades for that reason. Is that the big reason?
he is a Democrat, but he sees it for what it is.
No. You can't just registering yourself as a Democrat is not what makes you a Democrat. If you're gonna fucking rhino everybody that disagrees with you, I can kick one person to the fucking curb, and Alan Dershowitz is it.
We are in trouble. We got to get behind Trump right now if we want our country back, and that's the truth.
That's all he said. He didn't say, and we got to keep our underwear on, otherwise people will think the wrong thing. Did he put that in there?
Well, certainly this election is going to take on a whole new significance, I think, starting tomorrow. And
yeah, absolutely. It's yeah. I mean, as soon as when the thing right after yeah, this story's going to stick around. I think it's probably going to, and then it's going to be a big turn when Comer, I guess, something.
we'll see what happens. I think we all know that if Donald Trump had these moments, the media coverage would be far different.
What moments are you talking about?
Free health care for illegal. Look, we're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges. Michigan gave us Motown, gave us the Mustang. Christopher Columbus, huh?
Those kind of moments, you mean? Or there's something...
You have the ocean and you have the sun. There's something about that works.
Sure.
Purge the anti-Semitism and pro-terrorism. What you're doing. PP2.
Sure.
Peace through strength on the earth beyond.
Yeah. If Trump had moments like that, I'm sure you would cover the shit out of him, Sean.
And that's just the...
Yeah, and I mean, just the double standard of what you have to deal with every time because it's what you're doing.
Winston Churchill stood on the rooftops in London, very calm, making speeches. Winston Churchill. He meant explosive in terms of fire. This isn't the let's read the book school.
No, clearly.
double standard that we have. Alina Habba, great to have you. Thank you so much. Hey, Sean Hannity.
Ew. By the way, I don't want to... I mean, I guess I don't mind. I don't mind bumming out the right wing, but this isn't going to be a story. 2 days from now, this is going to be in the nobody gives a fuck file. Now, I don't know what this next video is about. I have to admit, like, I'm completely in the dark. Not because, I mean, obviously because Ted Nugent's on it, so nobody knows what the fuck he's talking about. But on top of that, if I may, this is this Dana Perino or whatever? Yeah, from who's on the 5. It's hard to tell sometimes because filters and stuff. But this this whole Biden feds asked banks to flag MAGA transactions. Pretty generic. Why it's the Biden feds when Christopher Wray, the Trump appointee, runs the place. We'll find out, I suppose, if we find it out at all. And also, what do you mean MAGA transactions? Like at this point, like again, I'm fascinated. Let's find out. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, share it out. Let's keep the show in business and firing on all cylinders. Subscribe today if you haven't yet, because we're approaching 65K. We're gonna get to 100,000. God damn it! I don't know when, but it's gonna happen. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I want one of those silver fucking play buttons. God damn it.
This week, there was new scrutiny on Biden's Treasury Department for allegedly putting a target on the backs of MAGA Republicans and tracking sensitive banking information as part of its investigation into January 6th. Terms like...
Geez, MAGA, Trump MAGA, small arms, Dick's Cabela's, banking surveillance search terms. Okay?
like Trump, MAGA, and even Bass Pro Shops were reportedly
Well, all those places sell guns, and ammunition.
flagged to the federal government.
Yeah, it's called a funnel. You start broad and then you work your way down. And if it's just somebody like buying fishing line or some shit like that, or the gun stuff doesn't come up, then they're excluded immediately.
Rock musician and
Oh, yes.
Action replays in magnified fortune.
Forgot that one.
lifelong outdoorsman Ted Nugent joins me now. And Ted, before I get your take, I just want to show everybody again.
Did somebody do a 3D scan of Ted's face and then send him a statue? Jealous.
And how Secretary Yellen ignored Hillary Vaughn's questions.
Secretary Yellen, this is an issue that Americans are worried about. They think that they are being targeted because of who they voted for or what their religion is or where they shop. What do you have to say to Americans?
Say I'm not taking questions.
Will you take a picture? But Secretary Yellen, can
Will you take a picture?
you at least have any words?
Also, why would she be the person over? Why in the world? Why Janet Yellen?
Of assurance to Americans who are worried about them?
School teachers, you bet. Let's do it.
So she won't answer questions. She will take a picture.
Right. Yeah, because she's being followed by a lunatic. By the way, the lady who was interviewing her, I suppose, got good audio of her taking a picture with people who wanted to meet her. So that was kind of nice.
And this went on for a few days this week. And I'm just curious what you're
I'm just curious. Do you have a chocolate bar in your pants right now?
hearing from other gun owners of America.
Are you going to smear fake shit? Or did you shit your pants to avoid having this interview on earlier?
And their concerns about what's happening or not at Treasury.
Well, jackbooted thuggery can come in the forms of high tech, and that these.
No, it can't. No, it can't. Technology cannot kick in your fucking door and wave a gun in your fucking family's face. There's a lot of stress about that, but it's not nearly as dangerous as someone waving a gun in your face, dumb fuck.
Oath violators continue to turn this.
Oath violators? You mean Christopher Wray? You mean Trump appointees?
Once great country into.
It is great. Fuck off.
An evil empire. I mean, she's just a bad infringer. That what they're doing, Dan.
A bad infringer. I wish we all had the ability to write poetry on the level that Ted.
And they are violating their constitutional oath.
No, they're not. They're keeping their constitutional oath, and surveilling people who are making terroristic threats online is not outside the rules at all.
That constitutional oath for 39 years as a sheriff deputy, and I know good over evil. I'm just a guitar player. But for the author of Wango Tango to have to actually describe what
author, the author of Wango Tango. Okay.
What in
writer? I mean, just say writer. Just the writer of author. Maybe you know what. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know. Did he write a book called Wango Tango to explain what the fuck he's talking about in that song?
Infringement means this is just a terrible time. They are engineering recidivism. They are not charging gun crimes to gun violators on film. They're
They're encouraging recidivism by around gun crimes?
This is just a terrible time. They are engineering recidivism. They are not charging gun crimes to gun violators on film. They're recreating violent crime in these sanctuary cities, and the left and the
they're recreating it.
Democrats. This is really a heartbreaking time. And the gun owners of America, the National Rifle Association, all my friends, my family, my band, my crew, everybody in my life knows that self-defense is a right from God. We get to keep and bear arms. Keep means it's mine, you can't have it. And this high-tech infringement, we got to put an end to this stuff. What they're doing.
Yeah, but if you're a felon or you've been charged with domestic violence or there are red flag laws around, you don't get to keep and bear them if you're a danger to yourself and others. Jesus fucking Christ. Self-defense comes in many forms, and one of them is dealing with this before it gets bad when you know there's a history of violence?
Because they're safeguarding criminals and they're denying good people the right to self-defense. It's so.
How? How are the people that they're tracking from Jan 6 who threatened the lives of public officials, elected officials, who is basically trying to destroy democracy, and that they want to kill this person so that they will not be represented, that the people that they represent will not be represented in Congress, and I guess just flat out murder while you're at it, that somehow dealing with that is denying people the right to protect themselves? Maybe this is just, how about this? Maybe this is just another more peaceful form of public safety, of self-defense.
Obvious that it's just another criminal outrage by this government that is totally out of control.
Well, I gotta say, like, out of control would be kicking down the door or whatever. The digital stuff seems like well controlled. It's a lot of work. Just saying. You know what I mean? There are no out of control snipers in that regard. There's a lot of control involved in that, and the same thing is true of, technological advancements as well. Just saying.
Well, we'll see what she says. I mean,
yeah, we will. We'll definitely see.
So she said that they would respond with paperwork, so we'll see if that actually happens.
Yeah, which is rough because as the author of Wango Tango, he can't read. This is in its own way, it's another violation.
I wanted to ask you about Toby Keith because America really lost a legend this week. You got to know Toby Keith quite well over the years. It might have been an unlikely partnership, but tell us more about that.
Why would it be an unlikely partnership? Ted thinks he's a country artist now.
Oh, I think it was a very likely partnership because Toby is an independent guy. He's got a great work ethic. He stands up, promotes, and celebrates God, family, country, Constitution, Bill of Rights, 10 Commandments, Golden Rule, Declaration of.
He rattles this off. He did this at the other day. These are all words that he uses as labels. It's like he might as well just be like making bumper stickers rain for all the depth of it. It's like these assholes yelling Allah Akbar overseas with all the religious fortitude of get her done.
Independence, work ethic, law and order, all that radical stuff that Janet Yellen and our unfortunate criminal government is against. So this is very poignant that we're talking about the freedom to keep and bear arms and Toby Keith, because he stood up for God-given individual rights as guaranteed by our sacred document, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights. And we lost a great man, a great voice, a great father, a great husband, a great neighbor, a great American. He was rock solid in the asset column. But most importantly, I think, Dana, he was a funny guy. This guy lived life to the fullest. When we were in Fallujah together with the U.S. Marine Corps, it was a moment that will never leave my spirit. It bonded me and Toby and the heroes that give the sacrifice for the freedoms that.
Oh, you mean because he was over there and he was actually enjoyable to be around and had a good nature about him and performed really, really well and had a lot of fun while he was there and was trying to lift their spirits and do that shit, and you were walking around in fucking camo like you belonged there, Mr. fucking draft dodger?
Janet Yellen and Joe Biden and our government is taken away. So this is a good time to celebrate Toby Keith.
Also, I would argue that any draft dodger takes those rights away because you moved out of your place in line and pushed someone else in front of you, and so the damage done to that person, the PTSD they went through, the physical injuries that they suffered, or even their own death is on you because that was your place in line. And the fact that this fucker is walking around wearing camo all the time and pretending that he did serve, basically, like stealing valor from other fucking people while patting himself on the back, is fucking gross.
And everything he stood for.
Indeed. Yeah. Should have been a cowboy. Wow. All right. Ted Nugent, thanks. Go ahead.
Who?
Have a great day.
Well done. Great tribute.
I am a cowboy.
No, you're not. You live in Michigan, fuckwad. You don't have any cows. You're not a cowboy. You are not a cowboy. You're not a cowboy any more than George W. Bush is one.
Dig it. Thank you.
Did Hemmer just say dig it?
Ted. I'm Steve Doocy.
Dig it, Ted. Jesus Christ. If anything settles the fact that you're not a cowboy more than Bill Hemmer saying dig it, Ted, that's it. Jesus Christ. What? The only nail in the final nail in the coffin would be if Hemmer high-fived him. Jesus Christ. Yikes, that was cow tipper maybe, right. Let me go. Let's see if is Trump out there yet? Jesus, is he into this whole thing yet? Oh wait, there he is. He's actually come out and spoke at some point. Must have not been very long. Is it a short one? Oh, okay. Hold on.
And because he nominated 3 Supreme Court justices that actually believe the Constitution means what it says.
Wee-hoo. When it comes to chicks, anyways. Yeah, okay. So now Jesus Christ, they're playing the song right from the opening. Means he's going to be wandering around the stage. Hello, hi. Hello, what are you? There you go. Okay, thank you. Just walk around. Clap, 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 clap. Thank you. Yeah, squirt, squirt. Hey, can I walkie, thump, limp. Okay. By the way, I don't want anybody to be worried. Like, hey, isn't this a presidential candidate at an NRA event? Isn't he worried about, guns being in the place? There are no guns allowed. There are no guns allowed in this arena. There are no guns allowed in the building. The only people carrying guns are his Secret Service guys. Hey, thanks so much. There you go. What's going on? There's a good hello. Good to see you. Good job, guys. Fantastic job. Fantastic. There he goes. And I'll just stand here. Wait, thank you. Wait for the song to be over. Just squirt, squirt, squirt. There you go. Just jerk you right off on my tie. That's what I do. And thank God there's no guns in here. No guns at all. Not a single NRA event. And one of the greatest powers that I have is that I can make sure that the NRA can't bring guns someplace. That's, you. What's up, Tits? Tits McGee. Just wandering. What a weird fucking thing to just stand there while the song plays. You can all jerk off all on my tie. There you go. Everybody in the front row, Joes, they all get a hand job. Excellent. And I'll just stand here while the song's... This is a long song. They started at the beginning. This fucking 3 minutes of this dickhead just standing here. The song is going... Can't really dance to it. It's more of a swaying song. And just stand there. I mean, everybody there's got to find this weird, right? He stood there for the whole song. Where the fuck is this song at this point? Okay, now we're getting near. Hopefully they're getting near the end of it. Jesus Christ. Or is this the second chorus and then there's a third verse and then another chorus? He's just going to stand there. Yeah, it's totally normal. What's not normal about this? Just stand there, just shocking everybody with your nunt. And then does he do the U.S.? Okay. Yeah. Clap, clap, clap. Hi, everybody. Hello. Squirt, squirt. Right on the chin. You get it. Okay. Hello to people of Pennsylvania. Why aren't they chanting NRA?
Well, thank you very much, Charles and Andrew. That was beautiful. We appreciate it. I'm thrilled to be back with the hardworking, God-fearing, true American patriots of the NRA. Right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning, you guys... Because I was running as a Republican, you just automatically follow me, and it's the easiest endorsement to get. All I got to do is sign a bill that says people who are mentally insane can still buy guns even when they're out on bail for domestic violence, and they might kill your wife, your sister, your ex-girlfriend, your daughter, whatever. As long as that's fine with me, you fuckers will always show up.
For 4 incredible years, it was my honor to be the best friend gun owners have ever had in the White House by far.
Also, why?
Now I stand before you with a very simple promise. Your Second Amendment will always be safe with me as your president. When I'm back in the Oval...
As long as you're insane, anyways. Like, everybody else will have to register. But if you're crazy, then we won't even... If you want to walk up to a school armed to the fucking teeth, I will make sure the cops won't stop you until you've already started shooting. You'll always get the first shot at those innocent children and members of your ex-wife's family or the people at your work. Nobody will be able to walk up to you and go, hey, why the fuck would you be walking around with a giant magazine coming out of your gun like that? They won't be allowed to ask you.
Office, no one will lay a finger on your firearms. It's not going to happen.
Well, that's actually how most of them are operated. No one will lay a finger on your trigger, least of all you. Especially here, because you can't bring guns into this NRA event I'm speaking.
And I want to thank some of the great members of Congress that are with us today. We appreciate it. Scott Perry, brave man. Where is Scott? Where is Scott? He's fantastic. Thank you, Scott. Great.
Why is he brave?
Great job. Guy Reschenthaler. Guy Reschenthaler. Where is Guy? He's here. I just saw. There he is. Thank you, Guy. Fantastic job. A good friend of mine, Dan Muser. Dan. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan, very much. He's great patriots, great people. Lloyd Schmucker.
Sorry. I need to hear that one again.
Great patriots, great people. Lloyd Schmucker. Thank you, Lloyd. Like an idiot. Thanks very much. Great job, too. These are
great job schmucking.
Very brave people. Also, Ambassador Carla Sands, who's done a fantastic job. And a friend of mine, you wouldn't believe it, I met him when he worked at CNN. Can you believe it? No.
Tucker Carlson is there?
He got out. He said, I'm out of here. He said, I'm out of here. And he's an incredible writer, a great intellect. Jeffrey Lord, wherever you may be. Jeffrey, thank you.
Wasn't he fired?
As many of you know, last night we had a monumental victory in Nevada. It was a big one.
Thanks to the rigging of the primary and caucus running in parallel.
We won over 99% of the vote and got more votes than any candidate in the history of the Nevada caucus. Think of that. That's a nice one.
While everybody else was in the primary, I guess.
And we also won yesterday a beautiful place, I will tell you, but this is a beautiful place also. But we won the Virgin Islands, got 100%. We won it in a landslide.
Did you get both delegates?
And 3 weeks ago, we all watched that. It was 40 degrees below zero. How about that? That's good. You don't have weather like that. We have some lousy weather here too, but we don't have weather like that. 40 degrees. You couldn't walk from the car to a door, which was like there. And you walked and you said, I think I'm frozen.
Is that how you do it? Is that's what occurs? You think you thought that to yourself? That's how you. I'm sorry. What was that thing about Biden being old and silly?
It was seriously cold 3 weeks ago. Record-breaking margins, and we won, as you know, New Hampshire. We won Iowa. We won everything.
Yeah. I mean, 50% of everything in a party that you had 98% of initially. But.
In fact, when we went to Iowa, we won by the largest margin in the history of the Iowa caucus
and the lowest turnout.
times 2.
The largest margin by times 2, and still you only beat Ted Cruz by like 5,000 votes.
The largest margin. Then we went to New Hampshire, and we had more votes than any candidate has ever gotten in the history of the New Hampshire primary. So these are good signs. These are good signs.
By the way, if you don't count all the people who ran unopposed because the party was already behind them, once you do that, then his margin drops into the toilet. I'm just saying. This guy was already fucking president. Every other Republican who'd already been president who went to these things ran unopposed and got everything because they didn't even have to work because the entire party was like, yes, I'm all in on this dude.
And 15 days from now, we're going to win the South Carolina primary.
Right. But you're not going to win 100%, and you're not even going to and everybody who votes against you is not going to vote for you in the fall. So if you lose 15% of the vote or 30% of the vote, all those motherfuckers are either voting for Joe Biden or staying home. Good luck, dum-dum.
We're way ahead, but we only have a 42-point lead. That's not bad. And this November, we're going to win. Remember, this is the big one. The White House. We're going to win the White House. Starting with
Big House, the Hooskow,
with a historic triumph right here
triumph
in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We love Pennsylvania. I went to school in Pennsylvania.
And where they never taught you what the word indictment means. And I mean, I got to say, maybe Wharton just sucks that it's a pretty baseline thing, you know, more of like a high school word, I think, but.
I went to school in Pennsylvania. I love Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh. What about it? What part of it? You love it like you love the Bible? Get specific. I want to hear it. What's your favorite restaurant near Wharton? Where'd you used to walk to all the time with your friends? I'm kidding. You don't have friends. The people that sucked up to you because they thought they could get something from you, or that you sucked up to because thought you could get something from them. What was life like? Yeah, in 2 Corinthians, Pennsylvania.
We ran twice. We won Pennsylvania twice. We won it twice.
Nope.
We did much better the second time than we did the first time.
I agree. It was much better that you lost.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yes, sure.
4 years ago, I told you what would happen if Joe Biden got into office.
Yeah, you said the economy would crash and everything would be destroyed and everybody'd be broke and I
said he would throw open our borders, destroy our middle class, crush American energy. We were energy independent 3 years ago. Now,
well, there's more oil being produced in the United States than at any point in history.
We're asking Venezuela, can we have some of your oil, please?
No, that's we don't need any of their oil. Just because they process it in Texas, apparently, that's a business transaction between this refinery in Texas and Venezuela. It has nothing to do with the United States.
He was
boo, Venezuela, and they're crap.
Going to empower America's enemies. Unleash misery throughout your state and throughout our country, bedlam and chaos, at home and abroad.
Oh, you mean like the summer of 2020, or?
The only thing I didn't know is I didn't know how bad it would be. It's even worse.
I don't know. I mean, Bedlam's a pretty high standard. I don't know. How did you, by the way, when you were walking from the car to the door and you're like, I think I'm freezing, did you not notice that you were freezing because you were being mugged and set on fire?
Everyone said I was exaggerating, but
why would they say that about you?
Sadly, as the now famous saying goes, Trump was right about everything. I was right about Joe Biden.
Really? What's the stock market at right now? What's wage growth like right now? Is it still infrastructure week? What'd the rescue package do to us? How about the CHIPS Act? How's the Chinese economy doing under Joe Biden?
Joe Biden is the worst and most incompetent and most corrupt president in the history of our country.
And yet, he was able to pass an infrastructure bill. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe that's why you couldn't pass an infrastructure bill. You just weren't corrupt or incompetent enough, I suppose. It's the same shit we hear all the time.
And today I issue another warning.
Uh-oh.
If Crooked Joe gets 4 more years, his second term will make his first term look like paradise. We're not going to have a country left anymore. We're not going to let it happen.
I think you can tighten that shit up. I gotta say, that's the warning. If he gets back in, we're not gonna have a country left. Do we still have a country right now? He's been in for almost 4 years. I don't know that he's gonna tack, hard one direction if everything else is working well. I mean, especially by his own standard, right?
We can never ever let that happen.
It already happened. He's been president for 3.5 years, or 3.25.
Stampede of illegal aliens.
Not even 3 in a month.
Across our borders will surge into the tens of millions. I hate to tell you, we're already there.
Well, then why would you? What difference does it make? It's too late, anyways, right? Tens of millions of people are already in the country illegally. How many people? 30 million? 20 million? It can't be 20 million because then you just sit, If you're saying tens of millions, I got to say 40, 50 million people, right?
I believe that you'll have 19 million people have come.
All right, well, that's not. Yeah, we already had. Supposedly, we have 12 in here already, and just because they cross doesn't mean they get to stay.
Come into our country.
Then how do we have 9 million job openings then?
Illegally by the end of his term. 19. It's bigger than New York State.
No, New York State's about 12.
And the people that will benefit the least, the biggest losers in this whole invasion, will be African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, and all unions. Unions will be out of business.
Yeah, unions are doing terribly under Joe Biden. I know. They can't even negotiate a better deal lately because there's just so many scabs working under the table, all these illegals working everywhere. You can't even... It's amazing. Any day now. It's obviously not. I know what you're saying. It's not happening right now. Right. And it hasn't happened in the last 3 years. But, obviously, at some point, probably 2 weeks from now, that it's really going to start. I don't even know why you even have to, say this is some sort of premonition. You could just wait until March, I guess, and then just point at it. Huh?
I met with the Teamsters the other day.
And they told you to go fuck yourself?
Had a good meeting with the Teamsters.
Yeah, it was a good meeting. Didn't get they didn't even get their support.
And I said, you better get me because we're going to stop. We're going to close up our borders. We had the safest borders in the history of our country, and now we have the worst. Hourly wages will be cut in half.
Why? Biden's just waiting for the right time to cut them in half? Why would he make them go up just to cut them in half? Just to say he could? Here's a problem. What if he gets in office and he just keeps the same economic plan he's been working on right now, and it continues to grow and grow and grow, and wages go up like they've gone up 4.3%. What if they keep going up there but 9%, and then he cuts them back, by 4%? He just cuts his people's wages. The wage growth will be cut in half, and he's still above inflation. Then what?
If Biden's policies are allowed to continue, open border, he wants open border. Nobody thought they were real when they say open border.
They didn't say open borders. He didn't say open borders. Biden didn't run on open borders. We don't say open borders. You guys, the only people saying the borders are wide open borders, the policy is open borders, are Republicans. The only people in the news fucking say it. Yeah.
Come in from prisons all over the world, from mental institutions.
Yeah, the only the mental institutions that have rowboats available.
All over the world, they're terrorists. What we're taking into our country by the millions, and we're going to end it on day one. We end it on day one.
How? What the fuck does that even mean? Where you just go walk around looking for brown people that look crazy and throw them in a car and drive them to the border, whether they've got papers or not. He just farted. That's when he moves his when he moves his jacket like that. He does that thing. He covers a fart.
Our cities have already become hellholes with.
Well, I mean, look, I'm as big a Spinal Tap fan as anybody, I mean, but I don't think any of the cities are ready to take on their song as an actual theme of the city yet.
Carjackings, lootings, muggings, and murder spilling deep into the suburbs. The other day, one of the great people who worked for me in the White House, an executive, brilliant young person, was carjacked and shot in the head and killed. And this is...
What was his name?
In Washington, D.C. It took...
Right, I know you know the name of the town. What was his
name? He was picking up his wife, an incredible couple, beautiful couple with...
What was his name?
Children, beautiful children.
What were the children's names? They worked for you. He worked for you the entire time you were in office. What's his name?
And a thug came up, put a gun to his head and killed him for no reason whatsoever. Just
well, obviously he was stealing the car. That's the reason. It's a terrible reason, but it was a reason. The idea was that, yeah. That said, what was his name again? The guy who worked for and with you?
Killed him.
Killed who? Sorry. I know he worked for you, but a lot of people work for you. What was his name?
Our currency will be trashed.
Art Currency? That was his name? Art Currency? Arthur Currency? Okay, sure.
Our middle class will be thrown into servitude and poverty. This is what's happening already. You see it?
Yeah, totally. Nobody can afford to go to the Super Bowl. Nobody's even going to watch it. They'll be too busy. They're going to stay home and shiver.
It's happening. You take a look at your cities. Your cities are going to hell. You take a look at what's going on. They're filthy, dirty.
They're filthy, dirty, pathetic. Bleh.
They're crime-ridden.
Yeah, they're crime-ridden, filthy, dirty.
People walk down the street. They get shot. They get mugged. We're really likely to face I say 100% chance of a terrorist attack.
Great, he's the terrorist weatherman now.
You know, in 2019...
Oh, boy.
And I didn't even believe this number, but the fake news, that's a lot of fake news. Look at that. That's a lot of fake
news. Yeah, those are your campaign camera people. And RSBN.
I didn't believe this number, but they had up that in 2019, that's my time, there were no terrorists. You know, we had all sorts of bans. We had it down. We really had it down. Not one terrorist that they have, at least on record. Sure.
Well, that would be the...
Can't be exactly correct.
Yeah, it can't be exactly correct.
But not one terrorist was reported. Now, if you look at your numbers...
Oh, you mean not a single terrorist who crossed the border during your presidency was caught in 2019? And right now we're catching a bunch of people because the government's doing its job?
More than we've ever taken are pouring into our country from all over the world, from countries that many of you have never even heard of.
Because you're stupid. You folks, you're from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The fuck do you know about geography?
Pouring into our country. And an entire generation of young people could very well be decimated by something that could very well happen, World War III, and it'll never happen with...
Why would young people only be killed in World War III? Honest to God, World War III is, I mean, we've been talking about it as a nuclear war. That's fucking everybody. That's the fucking ball game, dum-dum.
Me, I can tell you that it will never happen with
me. Well, yeah, because you said we're on the brink of it, so we're probably in it already. So by the time you come in, we'll be at World War IV, right? And I would argue that the Cold War was World War III, but whatever.
Never. If you care about your country, if you care about your children,
if you care about your spine being all fucking itchy,
then this November you have to fire. Remember The Apprentice? You're fired. You're fired.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it being lame, but I didn't remember it being that lame. That's yeah, the like where you're pretending to do the thing. Yeah. I just think we all owe Schwarzenegger an apology for shitting on his whole "I'll be back" thing that he would always do. At least he did it. He delivered it like he did in the movie, and it kind of still. He was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. It's pretty much nailed it or whatever." I don't know what this is though.
Some people say that's how I became president. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah. The Republicans were just like, "Hey, where can we get a pussy-grabbing game show host?" Like, "Oh, look, lucky us."
That was quite something.
It was something in terms of half-assed, comedically embarrassing game show hosts.
But you have to fire crooked Joe Biden, and we have to do votes like you've never seen before.
We have to what? We have to do votes.
Crooked Joe Biden, and we have to do votes like you've never seen before.
How? What do you mean do votes like we've never seen before?
They cheat like hell, and we have to
cheat right back.
We have to just swamp them.
Yeah. I think the word you're looking for is slab, right? Isn't that right? Oh, why won't you play, you silly thing? Hold on one second. We'll just wait. I can wait for it. I don't even care. I don't like it.
We have to slab it.
Thank you. There it is.
We're going to swamp them. They're not going to.
I thought you drained the swamp. How can you swamp somebody when you've drained the swamp? I mean, the swamp, it's drained. What are you going to do? You're going to swamp them with a drained swamp? What the fuck?
Be able to cheat their way out of it.
Out of the swamp that you drained? When people do votes like they've never done votes before?
No, think of it. Who can get elected with high interest rates?
Joe Biden, apparently.
Open borders.
Apparently, according to you, Joe Biden.
Food that costs 40, 50, 60% more than it did just a few years ago.
Well, I mean, if you're ordering, if you're eating at a restaurant, obviously, this people are eating out more than they were. Obviously, the cost of eating out and needing staff to do it versus just drivers was a huge thing. So the cost of delivery versus eating in the restaurant and then tipping somebody and stuff obviously is higher. So.
Your lifestyles have changed. Who can?
They have. Your lifestyles have changed. None of these guys can afford guns anymore, and Rumble can't sell coffee. Look at this. Their own 1775 coffee, which comes with milk already in it and looks like splashing diarrhea, but who am I to judge? Your lifestyle has changed, but not so much that you couldn't afford RSBN's 1775 coffee.
Get elected with this stuff. A woke military. We have a great military. I rebuilt the entire military.
So it's your fault.
And how about Afghanistan, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country?
No, I don't know. I mean, I gotta say, the escape from Hanoi in Vietnam, where people were on rooftops trying to get in helicopters. Even if we weren't embarrassed by that, then this wasn't gonna do it.
Which is why Putin probably looked at that. He saw incompetence all over. That was a surrender, I guess.
You guess? You arranged it. You negotiated the surrender then.
And we had it not. In 18 months, we didn't have one person shot.
Right, because that was part of the negotiated surrender. We'll leave by this date as long as you don't kill any of our people. Agreed? Agreed. If it was a surrender, you negotiated it. I don't even know why this isn't brought up to his fucking face in interviews. Greg Kelly, I'm talking to you. I'm kidding. He's never going to talk to you again.
Or killed in Afghanistan. Not one person. And then this guy comes in. And he takes the soldiers out first, okay? A child.
No, we added 6,000 troops. The last person leaving on one of the planes was a soldier. And by the way, he was walking with his back to the tarmac. Like he was walking up into the plane. He wasn't backing into the plane with the gun facing outward because they knew they weren't in danger.
I could take that beautiful child in the third row. I see a.
Yeah, but I think the Q people would think of that as like, as sort of a, Pizzagate kind of thing. I don't know if you'd want to take that beautiful child in the front row.
Beautiful child.
And then do what? Ugh. I mean, you were friends with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if you want to talk like that in front of this large group of people.
Like probably 10 or 11 say, would you move the soldiers out first or last? And he'd look at me and say, I think we'll do it last. They took.
No, a kid might actually go, I'd get my soldiers out because everybody else can leave on their own or whatever. But our soldiers, they risk their lives enough. I'd probably get them out first. And you go, you're a stupid fucking kid. You're a stupid child.
Took the soldiers out, and then supposed to take them out last. You take all the equipment, you take all the people. We had 13 incredible soldiers. I've gotten to know their families killed.
Their families were killed? You've gotten to know their families killed.
13 incredible soldiers. Yes. I've gotten to know their families killed. These are unbelievable young people. The families are unbelievable.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. Name one. Name one, like the guy who worked for you who got killed. I'm sure his name sounds like one of theirs. Just name one of the 13. Name one. Name one, and then name the guy, and don't say the name of the guy who worked for you who got killed, and mix those up, because that'd be embarrassing.
Unbelievable, actually. They've come over to Bedminster and different places, and we love them, but 13 killed so unnecessarily. We left behind $85 billion worth of equipment. You know, Afghanistan now is one of the largest sellers of military equipment in the world.
No, they're not. Not even close.
They're selling our beautiful brand new equipment.
No, they're not.
We left hundreds of people behind.
Yeah, but they're all in the opium trade and had dual citizenship. They wanted to stay.
Including others that we could have taken, but we left hundreds of...
What do you mean? Like we should have abducted some of the women and children? I'm telling you, you're going to set off the QAnons again.
Americans behind, they're still there.
Then, okay. They're clearly not hostages, so what do they do for a living?
And I think when Putin and President Xi of China, when they look at this, all of a sudden,
they go, fuck. So you get out and then your country stabilizes and you have a really strong economy, but if you stay in, you keep spending your money doing this bullshit. I should have never attacked Ukraine. What a waste of fucking money.
President Xi starts thinking in terms of Taiwan. He's certainly thinking a lot about it. They weren't thinking about it.
They were thinking, again, they've been thinking about it since fucking the 50s.
4 years ago. And Putin was always the apple of his eye, but he would have never.
Putin was the apple of Xi's eye? I mean, I knew they got along, but I had no idea they got along so well. So this is, you're saying that like Xi and Putin are like this, and this is Putin?
Done it. He would have never done it. And he went into.
Would have never done what?
He went into a place that's so beautiful, and it's not so beautiful anymore.
Ukraine? You mean Ukraine?
He went into Ukraine.
There you go.
And what's happened there is.
Took him long enough to think up the name.
Very horrible. Very, very horrible. Very sad.
You mean the loss of his 390,000 troops? Hold on. Shall we, real quick, if I may? Let's see. Where am I? There it is. Come back, cursor. Okay. Current Russian to Ukraine. Let's see. This is one that's old. 1 second. Let me get the newest one. It's August. Let's see. That's only 171. 354,000. That was in April of 2023. Soaring. Oh, there you go. Soaring Russian death toll. Yeah. All right. Well, it's saying poorly trained. Yeah. Here you go. This is so. Putin saw saw this and said, saw us getting out of Afghanistan and thought, I should just kill hundreds of thousands of my own people. Let's see, what is this? Number of Russian troops killed and wounded, approaching at 200,000. This is early, too. Oh, that's February. That's February of last year. Shit. Let's see. I know I have it in the, there's a graphic that always comes up. I'll find it. But we're approaching like 390,000 dead. So you think it was smart. You think that Vladimir Putin looked at us leaving Afghanistan and said, this is the perfect time to invade Ukraine because I got a tailwind and they're too afraid to help, and I'll clean this fucking place up.
Things would have never happened. The attack on Israel would have never happened.
They literally planned it while he was president.
Would have never happened.
Yahweh Sinwar said that they planned it starting when he was president. 5 years ago, they planned the October 7th attack. They started building towards it. They started training for it. They started setting up they would have people who had permits to work in Israel, take photographs and report on, where troops and where cameras were and all that kind of shit.
And inflation would have never happened.
Well, the only way inflation never would have happened is if we continued the downward spiral the economy was in. We had inflation because we actually recovered.
We have inflation, the worst we've had in 72 years. Inflation would have never happened.
It had to happen.
Energy caused.
It was supply shock.
Inflation. We had energy low. He had energy high because of his stupid policies. Perhaps worst of all, even as they turn America into a crime-ridden, gang-infested, terror-filled dumping ground, Joe.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I'm in a crime-infested, terror-filled dumping ground.
Biden and his thugs will do everything in their power
to somehow keep the economy improving and infrastructure being built, even in the midst of a crime-ridden, terror-filled dumping ground?
To confiscate your guns and annihilate your God-given right to self-defense. You have a right to self-defense. You've always had that right.
Well, you didn't have it before guns were invented, I think, and when the right was actually established, there were no guns that shot more than one round at a time.
And during.
But please suck up to these folks. By the way, now do you think it's a good time to remind them that they're not allowed to bring a gun into this place while you're talking? Huh.
During my 4 years, nothing happened, and there was great pressure.
Nothing happened. During my 4 years, nothing happened. That's great. That's amazing. Hold on. Back the fuck up.
During my 4 years, nothing happened, and there was great pressure on me having to do with guns. We did nothing. We did.
Jesus, I don't know if that's something to brag about, fuckwad. And that's not true. That is not true that nothing happened. You started the ball rolling that allowed crazy people to have guns again. Come on, give yourself some credit. That happened. Before you, people who were, considered a danger to themselves and others couldn't get their guns. Now they can. You did that.
Didn't yield.
Think of all the women who've been murdered in domestic violence killings since you were president that would have been alive if it wasn't for you. I mean, come on. If you're going to stack your wins, go for it.
And once you yield a little bit, that's just the beginning. That's the avalanche begins.
The avalanche.
4 more years of Joe Biden means 4 more years of anti-gun communists running the ATF.
Anti-gun communists running the ATF. Yeah. Well, maybe, okay. So I guess as far as the alcohol and tobacco, the communists are fine, and explosives. It's the gun part they have a problem with.
They're run it. They're running it now, just in case you have any questions.
Yeah, in case you don't know and you got any questions about that, it's communists.
Questions. But
I do have some questions. I have a few questions. My primary one is, what the fuck are you talking about, you lunatic?
Means hundreds of more radical left judges waging a crusade against law-abiding gun owners. And 4 more years of Joe Biden means a nonstop war on gun makers, dealers, and sellers.
Oh, you mean so because people can sue gun manufacturers who participate in the straw man trade of guns intentionally as a way to dump their kind of less than the highest quality gun. So you have any gun that you see that doesn't make, it's quality assurance, whatever the company has, is they put them in another bucket and then some dude sells them under the table to a bunch of people and they end up in the hands of gangs and murderers and the like, sold out of suitcases like we're all living in fucking Taxi Driver again.
Designed to put the entire industry right out of business. They want to put it out of business. I tell you, the NRA for me has been a great partner. They endorsed me early.
Yeah, if they hadn't, I'd have gotten rid of your guns entirely because fuck you.
2016, and the relationship's been a great relationship.
Well, yeah, except that whole part where you drew attention to the fact that most of their money came from Russia, and then that dried up, and then you started running out of money again, and now they got to sell tickets at these big events so they can't pay for anything.
And I don't know what they're doing in May, but I understand they're having a very big event in May. They better endorse me. That's the only thing I can say.
Or what? Or what? When you're president, you're going to take away their gun rights? It's the other way around, fuckwad. These guys are the ones putting pressure on you. You don't get to tell them you have to endorse me. You have to suck up to them.
That's actually an endorsement that means something. Well, I'm coming to Dallas in May, I can tell you that. The only thing standing between you and...
Yeah, didn't Kennedy say that? Yeah, never mind.
And the obliteration of your under siege Second Amendment is...
Jesus, that's...
Under siege Second Amendment? It's me. I'm the only thing. Anybody else, you wouldn't have your guns right now,
Yeah, if anybody else was president, you wouldn't have your guns right now. By the way, just for the record, Joe Biden is president and they still have their guns. And secondly, they're not allowed to have their guns at this event. They don't have their guns right now. All those people in front of you don't have their guns with them. They're either in the car or they couldn't bring them on property or they get arrested and they don't have their guns. Those people that you're talking to don't have their guns on them. They don't have their guns. They're not allowed to have their guns. They're not allowed to have their guns. They're also, where also they're not allowed to bring their guns? At the NRA thing in May, you're going to. You can't bring them there. Also, gun shows. Unless you're selling them, you can't bring one in of your own, and you can't bring any ammo.
They started with the ammunition, you know that. They couldn't do the guns with me, so then they started getting rid of the ammunition. People said, I have a gun, I can't get ammunition. We took care of that very quickly.
No, you didn't.
If Joe Biden is reelected...
What'd you do? How? What do you mean? You mean you subsidize it? You mean your fucking socialist bullet program? Where you had the factories that make ammo for the military overproduced so they could sell it to people on the cheap?
Your gun rights will be gone. They'll be totally gone.
They're totally gone. If Joe Biden becomes president for even one day, yeah. Yes, thanks, Kimchi, by the way. Gong Xi Fa Sai. Or if you're Cantonese, Gong Hei Fa Choi. Or if you're Americanized but still speak Chinese, Xian Nian Kuai Le, which is like Happy New Year.
The sad part of that is the bad guys aren't giving up their guns.
Right, but it's harder for them to find ammunition too. That's the thing. That, if you make ammunition harder to come by, more expensive, only the people who are, legitimately can get guns and stuff will be able to afford it in that regard, or if they can track it, they can see who's like stockpiling a bunch.
The bad guys aren't, but the good people aren't giving up their guns either, because there's never going to be anybody that's going to be asking for your gun.
There's never going to be anybody that's asking for your gun, except when you showed up at this event, in which case they asked you if you were carrying a gun and you had to walk through metal detectors and you're not allowed to bring your gun in to the place. Just for the record.
And when I'm reelected, every single Biden attack on gun owners and manufacturers will be terminated my very first week back in office, perhaps my first day.
Perhaps. Why are you going to wait till the weekend or something? I mean, yeah, golfing.
And every pledge, and your officers will tell you this, every pledge I made to you as a candidate, I fulfilled as your president, every single pledge.
Every single pledge.
Just as I promised back in 2016.
You mean especially the one about not golfing because there won't be any time? You'll be too busy working. Remember that pledge?
I appointed nearly 300 pro-Constitution judges to interpret the...
Yeah, that was a big thing with you as the judge.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Yeah.
Law as written. I faced down vile attacks from the radical left to confirm 3 great...
Look at this. Speaking of which, he'll be back. Trump 2024 bobblehead with the fucking Terminator body thing on it and a gun and fucking... Yeek.
Supreme Court justices, they're great justices. And standing before you at the NRA Leadership...
The Trumpinator. Jesus Christ.
Forum in 2019, I revoked America's signature from the globalist United Nations Arms Trade Treaty, where basically they take your guns.
No, they don't. They take your guns if you're an international cartel or a fucking crime syndicate.
Sir, they said, you can't do that, sir. All countries are signing that. Well, number one, all countries didn't sign, and most of the countries that signed didn't adhere to it anyway, but we would have. I said, no, we're not doing it. Even the NRA officers were surprised at that one.
Right, because they're like, holy fuck, this is the thing that keeps, like, American guns out of the hands of terrorists and Boko Haram and cartels and shit, and you let these motherfuckers get guns now? We're not gonna participate in the process of stopping that shit?
I stood up for our hunters, fishers, and sportsmen like...
Yeah, if you fish with a gun, anyways.
No one has ever done before, opening up millions and millions of acres of federal land and rolling back Obama's assault
on not being able to drive ATVs through the forest.
Hunting, fishing, trapping, and ammunition. Obama was brutal.
He was brutal. Why? Because California rules that he had nothing to do with outlawed lead ammunition because the amount of lead toxicity caused by years and years and years and years and years and years of sport fucking shooters dumping lead everywhere.
Obama was brutal.
He was brutal. You didn't even have any guns when I came back in.
Biden happened to be along for the ride. I think maybe that's still happening, isn't it, huh?
So Obama kicked your ass, is what you're saying.
You know, whenever I say, you're President Barack Hussein Obama, they say, oh, he doesn't know who the president is. No. It's bad to be sarcastic with this group.
That's not sarcastic.
When I do an imitation of him not being able to find the stairs, see how many stairs? We've got about 5 of them. I do an imitation, I go home, my wife said, darling, our great first lady, by the way, we have a great...
Really? She says darling?
First lady.
She talks to you the same way the lady who can't watch TV because the windmills are broken because there's no wind blowing. Because they're dead bald eagles underneath the thing. And also they switched mics for some reason. And it sounds like there's a fake crowd noise on it.
But I do
like a laugh.
Imitation, and I go home, she says, darling, you couldn't find the stairway out? No, it's an imitation. The fake news makes it sound like I couldn't find my way off the stage. When I mention certain names, they are the worst. They are the worst, but hopefully someday they'll learn, to make our country great, we have to have
free and fair and press and whatever.
A fair and free press. It's very important.
Right. I mean, people should report on the fact that you say a bunch of shit about, like, the dead soldiers and the guy in your administration who was killed and you can't come up with the name. I think it would be only fair that they go, what was that guy's name? After this is over. What was the name of the guy who got killed, who was in your administration, the guy who was shot? What was his name? Because he worked with you, and you met his wife and his kids. Who are they? What are their names again? Yeah?
We need that. We need fair and free elections, and we need strong borders. We have to have strong, and we're going to have all of them. We had them just a little while ago, 3 years ago.
COVID.
Like nobody's ever had them before.
Well, thanks, COVID.
When the radical left Democrats tried to use COVID to shut down gun sales during the China virus pandemic, I proudly designated gun and ammunition dealers as critical infrastructure. Did you know I did that? Does everybody know I did that? Do you know the heat? Do you know the heat I took?
How'd you take a bunch of heat if nobody knows you did it?
Does anybody know the heat?
Why would, again, how the fuck is that critical infrastructure?
I said gun dealers are critical infrastructure.
Yeah, that's nuts. Why? Everybody's home. Nobody's in business. Why the fuck would gun and ammunition dealers be critical infrastructure?
That's an interesting one. But it worked. We kept those places open.
Great. Yeah, especially, it's very important at a time when people like, this motherfucker, he's gonna say critical infrastructure again. Explain it. Draw it again. Draw it again. What happens here? Two people across from each other shoot each other dead. Draw it again. What's the name of the boathouse in Hereford? You fucking moron.
I think maybe more than anybody in the world, gun dealers think you like Donald Trump.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, especially around places like Parkland and Uvalde.
They're in business. No, they want to shut them down. They use COVID. They tried to use COVID to shut them down.
They shut everything down during COVID because they didn't want even gun dealers to die. Also, you were president.
My administration also petitioned the Supreme Court to overturn New York City's unconstitutional ban on transporting handguns outside of the home. Yeah, people walking on the streets with handguns that want to do bad things, and you have to keep your handgun at home. And to people that don't understand
the cops did
industry and the gun world.
The gun world? Is that a store outside of Dallas?
They might think that sounds tough. It's not tough. It's really a survival. It's really, we have 700 million guns out there, and not all of them are had by very innocent people.
Not all of them? What do you think the percentage is?
And in a landmark case 2 years ago, the court affirmed that the right to self-defense does not end when you step outside the front door of your house. That was
right. We know this.
All things that we got together.
Yeah, but it's the self-offense part that we were concerned about.
But under crooked Joe Biden, your Second Amendment is again under siege.
They went back to the other
microphone. You know that. Biden has implemented a vicious zero-tolerance policy. Do you know what that is?
It means they don't tolerate something at all.
Not good.
It's not good to have a zero-tolerance policy. Didn't Stephen Miller have some sort of zero-tolerance policy that you thought was good?
That revokes the license of independent firearms dealers if they make a single minor error.
A minor error? What do you mean? Straw man sales to terrorists and murderers?
Little tiny error.
Yeah, they just happen to sell multiple guns to somebody who's arrested as a serial killer or a gang member and is passing those guns around and multiple guns. It's one little line in the lying about where those guns ended up.
They're out of business. See them?
No, they're still open. Fuck. Drive through Burbank, California. It's like 4 fucking gun stores on Burbank Boulevard.
Oppose the so-called
in California
pistol brace rule, which orders law-abiding citizens to register or surrender guns with certain equipment. You
mean that turns them automatic?
Know that many of you are forced to do it. I don't know.
Maybe you just want to go. You're doing a drive-by of a school and you just want to open fire and just kind of just spray with gunfire, and your finger gets tired of pulling the trigger. You just want to go rah 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 rah. And just turn it into a machine gun. You should have the right. What the fuck is that?
Is everybody doing it as per their demand? Who in this group has done it?
No one there has a gun on them because that's the rules, fuckhead.
There's a hand way back there. By the way, this is a hell of a big building and it's packed. This is a big building.
Yeah, it's an NRA gathering. It's not you.
This is a big...
Also, what is this weird lumpy part of your part right here? Like you have a part in your hair and then you curl this little thing up like a knot. Were you bonked on the head? Is that a swelling? It's weird. It's like a Princess Leia knot.
This place is packed.
Yeah, where America has no shortage of gun nuts.
A lot of people outside, too, trying to get...
Oh, yeah, totally.
Even outside, it's packed.
A lot of people outside. Most people in the world are outside that place. They're not actually in that place.
Get in, arena, big arena.
Arena.
And
yes, it's not your event. It's theirs.
Now Biden is trying to ban all private gun transfers in the United States with the stroke of a pen. Let's ban them all. Under a Trump administration...
Why wouldn't he just do it? If he's trying to do it, why didn't he just do it? I'm dead serious. If it's that simple and he wants to do it, if he hasn't done it, why not? It couldn't possibly be that he's not trying to do that, or that he couldn't do that and that's a fantasy and you're putting this fucking stroke of the pen fallacy, idea out there. Jesus.
All of those Biden disasters get ripped up and torn out. My first week, but maybe my first day in office, okay? Maybe my first.
You're going to have to wait because I got a bunch of illegals to broom.
On Inauguration Day, did you ever see, you have the beautiful stairs of the Capitol behind you. You're speaking in front of thousands and thousands of people, millions of people watching. But on the way out, you walk up a massive flight of stairs.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about, I said a few times, I'm going to do my first thing in the Oval Office. Well, the Oval Office is sort of far away. You have to walk up the stairs, and then you have to walk quite a distance, and then you have to go downstairs, around corners. It takes you a long time.
You have to drive over there, too. It's a different building.
Thinking about doing this. If we win...
Not going to win.
A lot of people say when. No, you can never say when.
Right, yeah. It's not going to be a win.
You know what? You always have to say if. We have to work hard to win. I don't like to jinx anything. I say if we win, we got to win.
Bullshit. He jinxed everything both times. He was like, I'm going to win, and I totally can win, and everybody loves me more than they love anybody else, and there's no way I can lose, and there's no way I can lose. And the only way I can lose is if they cheat. That sounds like a jinx to me.
You got to win, but if we win, or we can maybe make a minor change. We'll call it if and when. If and when we win. I'm thinking about putting a desk somewhere on those stairs up. I'm going to have a desk. And I'm going to have a lot of papers in those desks, and a lot of them are going to have to do with you and what you love and what you respect. And we're going to knock out everything maybe before I get to the Oval Office.
Yeah, totally. I mean, he had 4 years to do all this shit, and he didn't do it then, but he's going to do it in the first few minutes or whatever. Just give him one more shot and a couple of weeks. We'll all be done within 2 weeks. He won't even need to be president after that point. It'll be on autopilot.
That'll look strange, won't it? We finish a nice speech to this incredible crowd, goes all the way down to the Washington Monument.
Well, I mean, if you're Obama in this fantasy, sure.
It's some crowd, I'll tell you. But it goes all the way down, and I'll be speaking, they'll say, that's strange. There's a desk about 12 stairs up. You got probably 100. What is that desk doing there? And it might look strange, but it's not going to be strange when I start signing those things. But we're going to knock it out. We're going to knock it out fast.
Yeah, I'm not going to do any of the work. Other people will draft this up.
And it is true. When the NRA endorsed me, I said I was going to do it, but I was in the real estate business, and I was in business generally. We did great. But when I said it, a lot of people didn't really believe the things I was able to do for the gun owners and for a lot of other people, too.
You mean the shit you said you were going to do and you didn't?
Outside of the gun.
You mean like your healthcare plan or the infrastructure bill? Or even the border bill?
But we did every single thing and more.
No. You had a run-of-the-mill Republican presidency. You got 3 things through that they drafted for you, and the rest was all bullshit.
And it was my honor to do it. Incredible people. Incredible people.
Especially the guy who was shot. What was his name again?
On day 1, we will sack the radical gun grabber, Steve Dettelbach. Did you ever hear of Steve Dettelbach? Do you know who the hell he is?
No.
And we're going to replace him with an ATF director who respects the sacred right to keep and bear arms.
You mean that right for everyone who has lost their right by committing a felony?
You don't know who Dettelbach is. He's a guy that is not good for this room. He's not good for you. We will fire.
He's the guy who actually sent guys to sweep the grounds so that none of these assholes kill you, by the way. Just saying.
Ultra-left Interior Secretary Deb Haaland, and appoint a secretary who truly loves our hunters, fishermen, sportsmen, and outdoorsmen, like my sons. My sons love Don and Eric.
They love killing animals that are tied to a tree. Makes them easier.
They're great hunters. They love the outdoors. They love it to a point, like I say, when are they coming back? And they're good, too. They're good. If they were golfers, they'd be better than scratch. Does anyone know what I mean when I say
no?
That they'd be better, though. They're really good. They can shoot. They can shoot as well as about anybody, but they love it. It's a great passion, and it's good for them.
Is it?
We will completely overhaul the corrupt Department of Injustice to clear out all the communists who have weaponized government activities.
Boo, communists.
And gone against conservatives and gun owners, and we will replace them with relentless crime fighters on a mission to put dangerous criminals behind bars. If you're a violent criminal today,
he's going to make sure you're armed like you've never been armed before.
If you kill people,
you're going to do it with a gun like a good American.
If you slaughter people,
you're going to have probably one of those trigger things on your gun so that it allows you to shoot with less effort.
You mug people, nothing happens. But if you're a religious person of a certain faith,
yeah, Catholics just being locked up for being Catholic by the Catholic president. Sure.
You get persecuted, and I don't know what's going on with Catholics, but
well, they have their second president.
Catholics are being treated very badly. I don't know if you know that.
Are there any Catholics here tonight? Let me hear it. Yeah, Dominus Vobiscum Podman.
But they're being treated very, very badly. What the hell is going on with Catholics?
Yeah, what is that? What is that? What is going on with Catholics? I don't know. Do you know? I don't know.
And yet, we got 88% of the evangelical vote, but we only got 50% of the Catholic vote. We should get 110% of the Catholic vote.
That's going to be hard. I know Catholics aren't supposed to use prophylactics, but you can only get 100% of anybody. That's getting 110%. If you get 110%, that means some of them are voting twice. I see. Yeah, I can see how you'd probably want 110%. You got 110% of the people who live in the villages. You got 200% of the couples that where the wife is missing and the husband actually killed her and voted with their ballot in their place. So yeah, that was up by 200%.
They're doing the Catholic.
Yeah, they're doing a Catholic.
But we have a sick and corrupt two-tiered system of justice in our country. Do I know better than anybody?
Yeah, everybody else would already be in jail by now. Like if you were a serviceman or, served in the military or something like that, or you were in the CIA and you'd done what you'd done, you'd be under the fucking jail. You'd probably be in Gitmo.
As an example, it was just announced that Joe Biden, his Department of Injustice, will bring 0 charges against Crooked Joe, despite the fact that he willfully retained and disclosed troves of ultra-classified national security.
Ultra-classified? That's a new standard. What's the stamp look like that? I want ultra-classified. Is that only MAGA stuff? Is that what they call hidden MAGA stuff? It's all ultra-classified?
Security documents. Now, that's not what I've been hearing, and he's not under the Presidential Records Act, which is a big thing. I am. It's a protective act. They're trying.
Yeah, it is. Explain it to us. You know what? Because most of these people don't know it. Tell us, break it down for us. How does the Presidential Records Act protect you and allow you to steal shit? Because I thought it was the exact opposite. Post-Nixon, it sounds like something that they put in so that you have to give back the shit. And you're saying it does the opposite. It's a special thing that allows you to keep shit that isn't yours. And I'd love to hear you break that down for me. I'm sure Alina Habba could explain it to all of us, but, you know, we wouldn't hear a word. Right.
Desperately to spin the Biden document disaster into but wasn't Trump worse? No.
Yes.
No, Trump was peanuts by comparison. That was
right, but you tried to hide the peanuts, and the peanuts had the fucking nuclear codes etched on them.
It's 50 years, and he did a lot of it when he was at a very young age. He was mentally a little better than he is right now. But no, in actuality, I am covered by the very important Presidential Records Act, and therefore...
Very important. How are you covered by it? Explain it, because they don't know.
I did absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah, that's not what it says. A little more specific.
Nothing wrong. But Biden wasn't president. Only the president
He is right now.
Covered. It's a big deal. And he wasn't covered. Also, Biden took documents over this long-term period as a senator and as a vice president. Well, that you're not allowed to do. Much of this period.
Well, that stuff was with him. He got those papers when he was vice president. He had them brought in because he was referencing a lot of them when it had to deal with, you know, deals that they had made. So those documents were from his time in office, but were not the actual documents that he used at that time. They were of the time, so he was looking back as reference for him and his team when they were dealing with, you know, what treaties we had before and all that kind of stuff. So while he was vice president, he had those things with him, and then when he moved out, all those things were included.
He was at a very strong state, and he was fine. He was probably, in terms of the intelligence of senators, he was probably out of 100. He was probably in the 95 category. I'd say he was 95th on the list. He was never setting any records. He made recovery almost impossible. Recovery of documents. He made it almost impossible.
How? They got them all back.
For the federal government to...
How? He let them go and look on their own and didn't interfere.
Get them. In fact, he gave classified material to the writer of his book.
No, he didn't. The idea is he read segments of what he had spoken to Obama.
In total violation of just about everything.
Yeah, totally. That's true. I mean, as far as laws go, he was in total violation of the just about everything clause.
I cooperated with the very unfriendly and hostile feds. I cooperated.
No, you didn't. You lied.
Far more than Biden did.
No, you actually hid the shit in your office.
Who sent records to Chinatown and shipped them all over the place. He shipped them to Chinatown and all over the place. They don't tell you about that.
Yeah, you know, Chinatown, where the Chinese hang out.
He was even at Penn Biden Center. Do you know that he gets paid millions of dollars? Do you know that? You know who pays him? China.
Well, then, what are they paying him to do? Skull fuck them? Because their economy's in the shitter. He took away all the technology they've had access to, all while you were president. They had access to our technology. You didn't stop them then, did you? Too busy signing a fucking trade deal. Biden comes in and shuts that shit down. Did they pay him to do that? Are they masochists? Explain yourself.
You have the Penn Center, right? Penn Biden Center. He gets paid millions of dollars, and they pay like close to $100 million to the school itself.
The Chinese do. They had donations over the years, right, is the idea.
And by the way, I went there. I went to a place called the Wharton School of Finance.
Okay, so they were given that money while you were there too?
And so I know all about Penn. I love.
Oh, okay. So did the Chinese start giving money when you were there? Because they didn't give it to the Penn Biden Center. They gave it to Penn in general. So it obviously was money that went to the Wharton School.
Penn, but Penn is getting a little bit out there. And
versus when you were there?
They were also sitting underneath his beautiful Corvette that he talks so much about, in a very flimsy garage with one of those very cheap garage doors. You know, you can cut it open with a scissor.
You can cut it open with a scissor. Now, granted, he's had Secret Service detail since he was vice president. You know, I mean, it's been over a decade now.
Does anybody have a scissor? I want to.
Yeah, a scissor. That's what we say. Does anybody have a scissor? I want to cut my way into a garage with a pair of scissors.
Get some classified documents. Let's cut it open.
Let's cut it open with a scissor.
It had no security.
Okay, wait. We might need this shit at some point. That's for him. I'm just saying. Back this the fuck up.
You know, you can cut it open with a scissor. Does anybody have a scissor? I want to get some classified documents. Let's cut it open.
That's super fucking weird.
It had no security, no Secret Service, no nothing.
And yet none of it's in the wind. That's weird. And he managed to get us out of Afghanistan because these were Afghanistan docs, right? And then we're gone. And meanwhile, you wanted to keep Bagram the whole time? You wanted to leave and stay?
And certain members of the Biden family lived there. I wonder what they did with those very important documents. But they had no Secret Service people there because he wasn't president. And
well, the vice president gets Secret Service protection.
And Mar-a-Lago's loaded with secret. We have more Secret Service. But Biden...
More than what? Than guests? That I believe.
Them all the way.
They have more Secret Service staying there on the public tit than they do members at this point.
They didn't. They're trying to make it the other way. No, Biden fought them very hard.
No, he didn't. We all saw how this went down.
And they never got what they wanted to get anyway.
They got everything. What the fuck are you talking about? Believe me, NARA has the fucking... They have scissors. They have a pair of scissors. I'm sorry, a scissor.
I even gave the DOJ and the FBI lunch at Mar-a-Lago. You know, they say I didn't behave. I gave them lunch. I said, have lunch at beautiful Mar-a-Lago, where they asked us to, do you mind, sir, doubling up the locks on the doors? Yeah, I'll double them up. We had locked doors. I'll double.
You didn't double them up. There was no lock on the door. You said you put a lock on the door. You didn't say anything about actually locking it, though.
Pull them up. And I did that.
What about the shitter?
The discussions were good, and then they ended up with... And they raided my house. They did a...
That's weird.
And they raided my house. They did a...
RSBN just edited something out of there? Or?
For publicity reasons. They did it...
For publicity?
For... election interference reasons. They want.
Wouldn't there be an argument that you kept those documents for election interference reasons?
Interfere with the election. So I guess they expect.
Well, if they hadn't found anything, it wouldn't have interfered in the election, right? Yeah. I mean, if they hadn't found shit there, would they had egg on their face, or ketchup.
Expected dinner, not lunch. I should have given him dinner, not lunch. I meant, if Biden is not.
By the way, he didn't feed the team that went there and served the search warrant. He's talking about the lawyers from NARA who came there.
Going to be charged. He said, that's up to them. Look, if he's not going to be charged, that's up to them. But then I should not be charged.
Yeah, but you're being charged with conspiracy because you participated in a months-long plot to remove those documents and hide them, and you lied to your lawyer and everybody else. It doesn't work that way.
This is nothing more than selective persecution of Biden's political opponent, me. And I don't know that it's Biden, because I don't think he knows he's alive. But it's vicious and very smart people that surround the Resolute desk. You know what the Resolute desk is? The most beautiful desk. You know, when you're president, they allow you to pick your desk. There are things that are very nice, very nice.
There's nice things about the president. Like, I didn't get to pick my desk because just, I walk in and I'm trying to put furniture in Mar-a-Lago and Melania just chucks the IKEA catalog at me and says, "Shut the fuck up, darling."
And they have these unbelievable desks. One of them is the Resolute desk. That's the one I took. And it had a tremendous history of presidents.
Wait, you took it?
Behind it. And he has the same desk. I think he took it because he likes me so much, you know. He said, I want to use this. I want the same desk as President Trump had. But never.
All right. The Resolute desk is the Hayes desk. Let me see if yeah, here, I'll show you this. Here's the Resolute desk. Gee, who's that sitting behind it? This is a picture of Barack Obama sitting behind the Resolute desk in 2009. I guess Trump took the Resolute desk of all the available ones because he likes Obama so much. Yeah, it's a gift from Queen Victoria. Fucking goofy son of a bitch.
Has such a thing as what he's done with the weaponization of our government, DOJ, FBI. It's never taken place in our country. It only takes place in third world countries. This has never happened.
Excuse me.
A ninth world country, not a third world country, a ninth world country.
In our country before. And the local DAs are part of it, and the...
Yeah, it's all big. I mean, you don't listen to him. Just go check QAnon.
Attorney generals are all...
If you don't understand this, just go look up a bunch of QAnon.
Part of it. You saw what happened in Atlanta with...
Yeah, oh yeah.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Yeah, why not?
Fani, F-A-N-I, Fani. How do you pronounce F-A-N-I, Fani? They interviewed her. I would never have an affair with anybody in my office. Well, she had an affair. And they paid the guy almost $1 million.
And the case against you is strong. So what are you going to do? That's the weird thing is she could literally have an HR problem and you're still guilty. Weird.
The only way, and honestly, that just corrupts all of justice. And they spent a lot.
It does corrupt all of justice.
A lot of time at the White House. You read that. It came out last week, right? Everybody read it? If you didn't read it, I'm telling you now, and I'm telling all the fake news back there. They spent a lot of time in the White House. And you know what they were talking about?
Coordinating between the state and federal charges against a former president, which is kind of new. And so they're breaking new ground and they would have to deal with it.
How do we get Trump? How do we get him?
Well, who gets him first? I mean, that's always the tug and pull against state and federal law enforcement.
He's been quite elusive over the years, hasn't he? He's been quite elusive. The only way to defeat this corrupt and weaponized system is to defeat crooked Joe Biden. To vote.
Who?
Corrupt and weaponized system is to defeat crooked Joe Biden.
Crooked Joe Biden.
Vote overwhelmingly for President Donald.
Crooked Joe who?
To defeat crooked Joe Biden.
Crooked Joe Biden. Okay.
Vote overwhelmingly for President Donald J. Trump in November, which is voting for yourselves.
Yeah, write yourself in. They'll know what you mean.
Biden administration. Every fact government has been perverted, corrupted, and turned upside down and inside out. The Justice Department persecutes.
Yeah, nothing works. It's amazing. Even the infrastructure thing, they're tearing down bridges and roads and stuff. It's weird. Everything's the opposite. The military's full of people. They've got guns that shoot flower petals. It's terrible.
It's law-abiding gun owners and pro-life Christians, while violent felons are released from jails. Thousands and thousands.
Well, I mean, obviously that dude who was going to shoot migrants, who's a fucking lunatic, he was released on his own recognizance. It seems to be across the board.
A 95-year-old veteran was kicked out of a nursing home. 95-year-old veteran, a highly regarded veteran.
What was his name?
To make way for an illegal alien that came.
What was the highly regarded guy, though? What was his name, though?
Into our country.
Really? 95 years old. Man, there can't be a lot of those around, so his name is, what was his name again?
Gangs, the most vicious gangs you've ever seen.
His name is Gangs?
They make our gangs look like very nice people by comparison.
Well, I mean, Spanky and Alfalfa and stuff, they were very nice. I mean, Alfalfa obviously, died a very sad and tragic, weird death, but...
From Venezuela, Honduras, and El Salvador treated like victims, while Republicans are treated like criminals. We're treated like criminals, and a lot of...
You are a criminal. They're not treated like criminals. Unless, I guess technically speaking, to be fair, the people in that place are being treated like criminals in that they are not allowed to have their guns right now. So they're kind of like felons, but only temporarily while they're listening to this blab.
Other groups of people in this country. Rich people are given $7,000 subsidies to buy.
I'm sorry, $7,000 what?
People are given $7,000 subsidies to buy.
I'm sorry, I lost that one. I was so with you. $7,000.
People are given $7,000 subsidies to buy.
Is that a Subaru or is that like a vehicle? $7,000. What?
Rich people are given $7,000 subsidies to buy luxury electric cars. Think of it, electric cars.
Yeah, $7,000 subsidies.
Is this the word? They don't go far.
No, they don't go far, obviously. Those subsidies don't go far at all. That's the problem with them,
Luxury electric cars. Think of...
Hold on, back up.
$7,000 subsidies to buy.
$7,000 subsidies. Ding ding dong. Say subsidies again. Shit, I can't even say it. Say subsidies again. You dumb motherfucker. Say subsidies again. Oh, God. I was ready to hang it up, too. I was getting tired of this motherfucker.
People are given $7,000 subsidies to buy luxury electric cars. Think of it.
Yeah. Is that like a some sort of charging device or
electric cars? Is this the word? They don't go far. Somebody said, how do you describe it in a simple manner?
Yes, in deference to the people around you or your followers.
I said, I have an idea. They don't go far.
And everybody went, what the fuck are you talking about? They have like a 300-mile range on average now. You're thinking about electric cars from like 10 years ago.
Doesn't sound very glamorous, but it happens to be true. When I was in Iowa, I told you 40 degrees below zero. There was so many cars in the road. I said, boy, there are a lot of cars out here. No, these are cars because electric cars don't work in very cold weather. So I would say 40 degrees below zero is a fine test. And I came back with a...
By the way, for the record, this motherfucker can't drive a car and doesn't realize, like a lot of us, that a lot of times your car won't start in the cold. Period. Not just electric. Just like a lot of... They all have electric starters. Modern cars have electric starters. They have the same issue. That's why they have like... Cars now have like warm-up available to them, like from you can do it from your phone and shit like that. And then, of course, if you plug your car in, it will start because of that, and there you go.
Result, they don't work in cold weather, that's right. But they do it using money stolen from middle class.
Yes, by the way, his golf carts are all electric.
Class families who cannot afford to buy a car for themselves.
I wonder when, this is a good question. I wonder when he updated all the Mar-a-Lago golf carts and the Bedminster golf carts. Because there was a turnover. They used to be like, they used to run on these like shitty old like electric go-kart engines, right? And then they changed them all to electric at some point. I wonder when the big decision, when he signed off on that shit.
The whole electric car thing is crazy.
Diesel cars need electric heaters in the winter. Yeah, it's not that weird.
Crazy. It's crazy. Everybody should have the right to buy an electric car. But, we have liquid gold under our feet more than any other country. We can have combustion. We can have combustion.
Yes, that's true. Things can catch fire. It is.
Combustion engines.
We do have combustion engines.
Hybrids. Hybrids are actually pretty good, the combination of both.
Is that what a hybrid is? Thanks.
But all electric, unless you're going to go very short distances, I wouldn't want to go long.
You can't, according to Stormy, so I wouldn't worry about it.
I wouldn't want to go long.
You're not going to go long. You can't even drive a car at all, dummy.
And we're going to drill, baby, drill. That's what we're going to do. We're going to drill, baby, drill.
We're going to drill. That's what we're going to do. We're going to drill.
We'll drill. Babe, thank you very much.
He reminded me of the saying that we're going to.
That's what we're going to do.
That's what we're going to do.
Didn't want to go long. And we're going to drill, baby, drill. That's what we're going to do. We're going to drill, baby, drill.
We're going to drill.
We'll drill, babe. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was very nice. Yeah.
Thank you for yelling, drill, baby, drill. That's Sarah. Is this Sarah Palin here? Fuck her.
That's a good voice. No, we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get our prices down. We had gasoline at numbers that you hadn't seen in 25 years.
Because no one was driving.
We were selling.
Same shit.
We were doing so incredible. We were
doing so incredible. The gas was so cheap when no one was driving.
Had a country that was doing so well as it was during the Trump 4 years, which is why we're.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you take out COVID entirely and you pay no attention to the last 4 years of the Obama administration and of course, a myriad of times, I guess 80s into the early 90s, mid 90s, the surplus that Clinton had when he left office. I mean, there's obviously.
Which is why we're leading in the polls. We're leading everybody. We're leading. I think the Republican primary is essentially over. That's what I hear.
That's what you hear.
We'll go to South Carolina. We're going to do great in South Carolina.
But everybody who votes for her is never going to vote for you.
We're actually going tomorrow to South Carolina.
Great. Thanks. Cool. Just, you know what? Tack it up on the fridge. We'll all check it out before we leave the house.
I used to have a nice, simple life. I didn't have to go around and make
well, I mean, everything you do is simple.
Speeches to massive stadiums. And if you say one word, a little bit mispronunciation.
Like that? Like a little bit mispronunciation?
And if you say one word, a little bit mispronunciation, you end up front page. Watch.
If you mispronounce a word a little bit, is that what you're saying? If you say one word a little bit mispronunciation.
One word a little bit mispronunciation.
Yeah, that would qualify. That's a good example. Thank you for giving such an obvious example. Yeah.
You end up front page. What's wrong with him? You make 9 speeches. I have a guy I'm competing against who hasn't spoken in months.
He literally has just made I think every single day he has a speech or a gathering. Every single day.
And when he does, it's not pretty, is it? Not pretty.
Dude, I just came away with 3 hot audio drops from this one alone.
Not pretty. And I got to know President Xi of China and Putin of Russia.
Right, yeah, and talk about mispronouncing words.
Got to know a lot of the leaders. They're tough cookies and smart. And
the press hates it when I say they're smart, but they're smart. I just can't. Iron hand.
I can imagine what happens when they close the doors and go into a little negotiation. Unfortunately, I know what happens, and it's not good for America. It's not good.
Right, because when you were in the room with them, it wasn't good for America, but now it is.
Vote for Biden is a vote for all of this communist lunacy that you're seeing around you with.
Is that what it says in the teleprompter? All this communist lunacy? You wrote that down? That's in the teleprompter. Communist lunacy. Fuck it. Just say communist lunacy. I can't memorize all that shit.
The open borders and all of the problems that are.
No, the problem.
Cause a vote for Trump is really a vote for common sense. You know, we're conservative and all of that. But I say more than anything else, it's common sense. We want borders. We want strong borders. We want great.
Well, then why'd you tell them to vote against the border bill? Because obviously it's an improvement over the status quo. And then in theory, you could add on top of it. You could say it doesn't go far enough, but our Republicans got them to move on this. And this is what democracy is about. We got a lot of what we want, but when I'm in there, it's going to be even stronger. Why not do that? Oh, because it's bullshit.
Education, we want low taxes.
He wants the destruction of the Department of Education.
Taxes.
Right, for major corporations, not individuals.
We want a powerful military, but
we have a powerful military.
Not necessarily to use it every week on going after countries that don't want anything to do with you.
What? What do you mean, the fucking Houthis? We're supposed to just let them fire on merchant ships? And our ships? We're not supposed to fire at these, like, training camps who killed our soldiers? What the fuck are you talking about?
The day I'm inaugurated
was the day Ukraine becomes part of Russia and Israel strafe bombs Gaza and turns it into a fucking landing strip.
The day that law and order, sanity and justice will return back to the United States of America.
And by that, I mean vigilante randos shooting up people because they look at them.
On day one, we will seal the border and stop the invasion of America. We're being invaded just...
Really? Did you see the convoy footage? Because not so much.
Like it's a military invasion.
Yeah, but with like toddlers and women and, yeah, people with pink backpacks and stuff. It's not, I mean, it's not the military I pictured, but sure. Maybe they have a woke military. Maybe that's it. Maybe we need a woke military because you got to fight fire with fire. So maybe that's what's happening. Just like family units and women and guys with pink backpacks and stuff. And that's their woke military. We've got to answer to this fucking...
No difference. You know, we are...
Stupid, ridiculous, crazy.
We are losing, in my opinion, 350,000 people a year to fentanyl.
Why?
There's no war for the most part.
Except for Russia's.
Where you're going to lose that many soldiers.
Well, tell that to Vladimir Putin. He's sharp as a tack. He'll know what you're saying. Just tell him, just go, dude, only an asshole would lose like over 350,000 soldiers in a war. I mean, fuck. Right? That doesn't happen. What kind of, you'd have to suck at, oh.
Is where you're going to lose that many people.
Uh-huh.
We're losing 350,000, I believe. They always say it's 100, 125. It's not.
No, it's got to be triple that. And so then when I come in, I can, on day one, I can bring that number down to 100,000 and you guys will think it's like gas prices. I'll just pretend they're magically higher than they are so that when I come in, if they stay where they are, suddenly that's a cut.
Much more. It's getting worse too. We had a very strong border. It was very hard for them to get things through our border.
Again. Apparently not. We weren't catching any of it.
And now they just walk through, nobody checks. We spent a lot of...
Nobody checks. That's right. Customs and Border Patrol, you're all frauds and treasonous assholes. Like everything you do is a fraud. You're all guilty of dereliction of duty. You're cowards and you're surrendering at the border, according to Donald Trump. Isn't that sweet?
Money on equipment. I said, get me the best equipment. But do you know the best thing for detecting drugs? Is a certain type of German Shepherd. You know that?
Oh, dear.
They are unbelievable.
Quite believable.
There's no machine that costs $2 million each that can even come close. So I love those dogs. I think they're great. You can't get away with it. I mean, they put...
Apparently you can.
Them in their cylinders of a gas car. They don't have...
I'm sorry, they put the dogs where?
With it. I mean, they put them in their cylinders of a gas car. They don't have cylinders in the electric cars too much. But they put them in hubcaps.
Oh, good. Well, that's good. So that's nice. So electric cars make it harder to smuggle fentanyl. Reason enough to have.
They put them in places. I always say, I've seen the way they bring them in.
He's talking about fentanyl, not dogs, right?
If they would devote that genius to making money legitimately, they'd be very wealthy people.
They are very wealthy people.
But what they do is incredible. But the best thing you have is a certain type of German Shepherd. It's unbelievable.
So what the cartels do in smuggling fentanyl into the country is incredible? Good. Okay, I just want to know what the standard for incredible is when you say other people are incredible and they're incredible. That's your standard.
They go right up to it. They say, that's it. They point to it.
Wait, these dogs can talk?
You take off the hubcap and stuff pours out. You say, hey.
You say, hey. Is that what you say? What does the dog say? That's what
But
I
you
want to
know.
But you know, it's a great story. You say, hey, what is this? What do we have here? Why am I suddenly talking like the anteater? And the old, I don't know. Who put this thing in the... Don't you know I've got this dog? This dog can smell it all. What do you... Oi! You put it right in the hubcap like an idiot. What happens if you hubcap? What if you're in a small fender bender? Then everybody's all... Oi!
We worked...
Everybody's high. Nobody can fill out the paperwork. The cops show up. Oi! Tell them, Sparky. Oi!
Hard on it, and we had it way down. And now it's coming in at a level of 10 times more what it was 4 years ago. 10
No, it isn't.
times more. Many people.
No, they're catching 10 times more. Doesn't mean it's getting in. That's the opposite of getting in.
Fentanyl. And I had to deal with President Xi that he was going to give the maximum penalty for sending fentanyl to the United States. I had
Really? What was the maximum penalty for sending the Wuhan virus here?
that deal.
Uh-huh.
Because he understood tariffs. I charged him massive hundreds of millions of dollars China paid to the United States.
Dyna dollars? Are those, is that some reference?
Him massive hundreds of millions of dollars.
Dyna dollars? Diner dollars? Is that a coupon or some sort of, like, diner dollars? Is that like China dollars? China money. That's what he's trying to say. China money. I charge hundreds of millions of China money.
China paid to the United States. Not one president ever.
Maybe he means Iraqi dinars. That's right. That's the QAnon people are all clapping right now.
Not one president got 10 cents for China.
Why would we get 10 cents for China? What is our job to get them money? What the fuck are you talking about? Also, 10 cent, we talked about this earlier. This is his reference to 10 Cent the company, and he doesn't understand when people are talking about not being able to stop 10 Cent. They meant this, not actually 10 cents.
The great negotiators, you know, they'd say, but we are a developing nation. Well, so are we. Have you seen our cities? Our cities, you might as well redevelop, and we're going to do that, by the way.
Yeah, you're going to give yourself a real estate contract?
We're going to redevelop our cities.
Are we? What are we going to do, flatten them first?
And we're going to redevelop and fix our capital, which is a murder den.
A murder den.
People are getting murdered every single week. Many people in some cases.
Uh-huh.
We're going to bring back our capital. We're going to bring back law and order. We're going to have the federal government run it. And we're going to bring back the capital, Washington, D.C. We're going to...
Yeah, I'm familiar with the capital.
Put it in the safe fold. We're going to have it safe. We're going to have it clean.
Put it in the safe what?
In D.C. We're going to put it in the safe fold. We're going to have...
In the safe fold? Safe fold.
Back the capital, Washington, D.C. We're going to put it in the safe fold. We're going to have...
Safe pole? Safe fold. Safe fold? Honestly, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Back the capital, Washington, D.C. We're going to put it in the safe fold. We're going to have it...
Fold. Safe fold. Safe fold. That's a... It's not vault. Vault is a very distinct word.
Safe. We're going to have it clean. We're going to take the graffiti off the marble columns. Those beautiful, beautiful marble columns put up 100 years ago and more.
Right. You think we don't clean the shit now?
These gorgeous Carrera columns. I know all about the marbles. I can tell you every marble.
Sure. Tell us about... you've lost a bunch, but you could still tell us about
But these beautiful columns that are incredible how they could have done it years ago without the powerful tractors that you have today and lifters and cranes.
They had cranes. Lifters and cranes. They had stuff.
They got them up and they're beautiful. And they have graffiti on them. We're not going to have any more graffiti, and we're not going to have.
Yeah, no more graffiti. And if you can trust somebody if anybody knows how to stop graffiti, it's a developer from New York.
Roads that are in bad shape. We're not going to have medians that are falling down. We're not going to.
I don't know what that fixation is about. He keeps
have
bringing
paper
it up.
that's been down for six months. I mean,
ew, 6-month-old paper. Yuck.
You look at some of this. You look at the damage.
You do, yeah, you do.
The destruction, the filth.
Oh, the paper. Oh, and the cans.
And you have cars, and I wonder what these leaders.
You do have cars. That is true. I can't argue with you.
Say as they're driving into Washington D.C. and there's paper all over the roads and.
Paper. Ugh.
Beer cans and everything.
Beer. Fucking beer cans. At least it's not soda cans. It's probably more beer. Beer cans. Yeah, beer. Fucking beer.
Thing all over the road, strewn all over the place.
Yeah, strewn. That's a beer brand, isn't it? I don't drink. So.
And the medians are falling down. You know that metal median that they use so much.
Sure. Yeah, I know that. It's made out of beer cans.
It's
I think.
Real garbage. I mean, you put it up, and I think the sun makes it warp.
That one got me. That one I was I knew he was going to say something stupid, but that was a little bit much. Oh shit. You think what?
It's real garbage. I mean, you put it up, and I think the sun makes it warp. You ever see this stuff? You put it up 2 weeks later.
Like they literally laugh at him. They're laughing at him, not with him.
The thing looks like it's been up there for 30 years. What?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. None of us do. No one knows what the fuck you are talking about.
Crap. Somebody made.
Wait.
2 weeks later, the thing looks like it's been up there for 30 years. What crap.
Well, it is supposed to be temporary. It's not supposed. If it looks too nice, you might leave it up for 30 years.
Somebody made a lot of money doing that. Whoever the man that sells that stuff is, I want to hire him immediately. Because
why?
I think he's the greatest salesman on earth.
Wait a minute. Maybe Mike Pillow does these things?
I'm laughing because I know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, they're laughing because they don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This is hilarious.
Right.
You're so fucking... No, they're laughing because this is weird.
Little ching ding ding this...
Yeah, that's what... Little ching ding 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 this... Yeah, absolutely. We all know what the fuck...
Laughing because I know exactly what I'm talking about, right? The little ching ding ding this... It's like you put it down, the next day it's like this. Hey...
What, did you just discover some fucking fentanyl in it? Hey. What happened to the berries?
You have to understand, that was my business. I was really good at that business.
What business? You don't... What? What the fuck do medians have to do with your business? What are you talking about?
Construction.
Yeah, that's not construction. Those are temporary barriers. Nothing's being built there. You never made roads? What the fuck are you talking about?
3 years ago, we had the most secure border in the history of our country. We ended...
What the fuck was that?
Catch and release. We built 561 miles of border wall. We got Mexico to send 28,000 soldiers to our border.
When they should have sent it to their southern border.
Free of charge.
Yeah, I guess you had to threaten American companies with tariffs for making stuff down there to get it. Not quite free. Obviously, that cost got passed on to the consumer.
Everyone said, you didn't get them free. I said, I got them free. By the way, I used to say Mexico's going to pay for a big piece of the wall.
No, you didn't. Oh, no. Oh, no, you didn't, fuckwad. You said Mexico was going to pay for the wall 100%. And then you would go like this, and everybody go 100%. And you didn't say like a fucking piece of the wall. Get the fuck out of here.
I got them free. By the way, I used to say Mexico's going to pay for a big piece of the wall. Mexico paid much more than that. They gave us free soldiers, free military. They did things for...
By the way, we didn't keep people. We didn't trade slaves for the wall, you psychopath.
because that I could do. You're not allowed to do that. They can't pay for our wall.
Well, I guess maybe day 2 you could have come out and gone, fuck. I always thought they could. God damn it. What am I going to do now? Oh, I can just keep lying to these ding-dongs?
No mechanism, but there was a mechanism where they could give us soldiers.
Right, slavery. I think they never had their own Emancipation Proclamation, so they could just give us people. We could just buy Mexicans. They could just give us some Mexicans in exchange, and we'll, I guess, kill them and use their body as mortar.
28,000 soldiers, and you know, it was very interesting.
All of them sweaty, muscular, oil glistening off their skin in the pale moonlight.
Some of you have heard the story, but
believe me, we've all heard the story. Everybody's heard the fucking story. We're sick of the fucking story.
I went to Mexico.
Great story.
A woman in the State Department was terrific, but she was a lousy negotiator, actually. But
someone you brought in.
A terrific woman. She dealt with Mexico for 25 years. And she said, sir, you're not going to be able to get this stuff. I went to Tom Homan. I went to Brandon Judd, the Border Patrol. I went to these I said, what are your give me a top 10 list. And they gave me a top 10 list. No more catch and release. No more, a lot of things. We want the wall. We want this. We want that. We wanted a lot of different things. And the woman looked at me. She said, sir, we've been after that for 25 years. As long as I can, you'll never get it. I said, yes, we will, 100%.
Yeah, because of COVID, not because of you.
Sir, you won't be able to get it. And I like the president of Mexico, the former president, I guess. He's going to be taken off for somebody else has taken his place. I'm sure I like the person that's taken his place. We'll get along just fine. But so what happened is I said, no, they're going to have to give us 28,000 soldiers. That's a lot of money. I also want a thing called Remain in Mexico. Isn't that a good idea? Remain in Mexico. You know, Biden ended that.
No, COVID ended, and that was part of Title 42.
When he ended Remain in Mexico, and I built all of these hundreds of miles of wall.
And the access road on the Mexican side that allows people to go to the end of the fucking wall where it stops at native land and just walk around the fucking thing. Please continue.
In 3 weeks, we could have thrown up another 200 miles of wall. 3 weeks. And that's when I realized they want open borders because they didn't want it. And they took the wall, which was exactly what the Border Patrol, it wasn't my design, it was a design by Border Patrol. I frankly would have liked concrete plank going straight up, but you had to be able to see through. A lot of different things. They wanted it to be steel, concrete, and rebar. I built everything, even the panel on top. I hate the way it looks, but it's called an anti-climb panel.
Didn't quite work, did it?
It makes it almost impossible.
Almost? It's a big almost.
Unless you're a Mount Everest climber to get over the wall.
Or somebody with a $9 ladder from Home Depot.
You guys would scoot over the wall like it was nothing. But that's an anti-climb panel. We did everything they wanted, and we built it, and it was so much more than I promised to build. And then I said, we need more, because people would go out on these sketches, and we had to fill in the...
Out on these sketches? You mean the edges? Out on these edges? Hold on.
I said, we need more, because people would go out on these sketches, and we had to...
Yeah, out on these sketches. They had people, like, walking on drawings. That's all the paper on the ground.
Fill in the certain areas that...
Yeah, you spackle it shut with the drawings.
Were hard to get legally.
Yeah, it's like a Wile E. Coyote kind of thing. You just draw a picture of the wall, and they don't know.
From eminent domain and various other things. So...
Right, this is... Whoops.
Certain areas that were hard to get legally from eminent domain and various other things. So what...
Yeah, where the wall ends and the road that he built, the access road to build the fucking thing, allows people to walk all the way to the end of it, and where it reaches the eminent domain territory, they can just walk right the fuck around it, whereas before, they couldn't get across the terrain. And because of this stupid fucking wall, nobody came across that area until he built the access.
What happened is we're building the wall. A lot of people coming in, a lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of people pouring in, but peanuts compared to what it is. This is peanuts. And I got Mexico. I said, you're going to have to pay for the soldiers free of charge. They laughed at me. They said, we're not doing that. I said, you have to. I'm sorry. We're not doing it. Sir, you have to be. Here's a guy, handsome guy, beautiful representative. He laughed. He said,
oh, yeah, that guy. What's his name again? He knew the guy who got killed in your cabinet, right? The guy who was shot. Remember him? What was his name again?
Sir, we're not giving you soldiers. Why the hell would we give you soldiers? He actually thinking to himself, we've been ripping off the United States for years. Why the hell would we give them soldiers to protect their border? We're not doing that. We want them out of Mexico, these people that are coming up. A lot of criminals, a lot of bad people are coming through.
Well, then why not block your southern border since they're coming in that way?
So I said, no, you're giving it to us, 100%. No, sir, I'm not giving it to you. I said, listen, 100% that you're giving it to me. We're not giving it to you, sir. You're giving it to us. He goes,
this whole argument never happened.
there's no way. I go, way.
Again, fucking fantasy.
And so we left it. And I said, here's the story. You're going to give us every one of these items. I have 10 items, and remain in Mexico is a big one, but no more catch and release. We call it catch and release in Mexico. We had catch and release in the United States. We catch a criminal, and we release the criminal in the United States. What the hell? And then we say, come back in 6 years for a court case.
Well, the new deal would eliminate that and also give people, it would be 90 days or you're automatically revoked. And it would provide everybody with, a more distinct date and more proof needed to qualify under asylum.
The really dumb ones came back. Most of them that was it.
The really dumb ones are the ones who want to be citizens. Nice.
They were in our country. We had them. But some really dumb ones came back. I'm here to go through a court case. Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Right. The person who wants to honor the rules of the United States. Those are the dumb ones, according to this fuckhead.
What happened is I said, no, you're going to give it to us. So he said, why are you so confident that I'm going to give it to you? I said, here's why. Because I have before me a document, and I'm signing it now. And if you don't give us 28,000 soldiers immediately to protect our border from people pouring into our country, I am going to charge you a 25% tariff on every single thing you make, including all of the cars, because you stole, they stole 32% of our car industry, by the way, in case you don't know.
Well, no. I mean, those are American companies.
And every car made in Mexico that gets sold in the United States is
by an American company.
It's going to have a 25% tariff. And
you mean like Chevys and Fords and Chryslers and those GMC?
If it doesn't take place within a month, it's going to go to 50% and then 75%.
And then the car industries were like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And he said, sir, may I please take 5 minutes and call my president? I said, you may. He comes back. Sir, it would be a great honor to supply you with 28,000 soldiers. It would be my honor, sir.
Gibberish.
It would be my honor. And we had a great relationship with Mexico, and we had
that was based on extortion, bribery, and threats. It's a great relationship. It's not unlike his relationship with his ex-wives. Hold on one second. Let's see what we get for the ruling. Okay. So far, in the fact check of this, it seems like it would be something very easy to reaffirm. But did Donald Trump get 28,000 Mexican soldiers to police the border, especially the southern border? First of all, no. They've got it as unconfirmed. But this is the immigration to the Mexican border in the U.S. remains a policy focus for Washington, with the White House introducing new plans to defer unlawful crossings. Despite pushback from some Democrats, the traditional area of conservative support is also among a range of claims that Donald Trump mentioned when he moved forward in 2024, recalling his time in office. The former president also mentioned the negotiation with the Mexican government where he claimed he managed to secure thousands of Mexican soldiers. A YouTube video posted on January 28, 2023 shows him saying, the strongest border, by the way, how important is that? Strongest border in history. We built hundreds and hundreds of miles of wall. We got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers free. Okay, the facts. This is a figure that Trump has quoted before in reference to a trade and security agreement signed between the U.S. and Mexico in 2019. The agreement states that Mexico will take unprecedented steps to increase enforcement to curb irregular migration following threats by Trump to impose new tariffs on Mexican imports. Mexico also agreed that to what was known as the Remain in Mexico policy, which required asylum seekers to wait their claims to be processed in Mexico rather than the U.S. At an April 2022 rally in Delaware, Trump referenced both the border agreement and the Remain in Mexico, erroneously stay in Mexico, alleging to have demanded from the country's highest representative under Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador 28,000 troops, claiming to, quote, the Mexican representative, we're not going to give you these 28,000 for free. It's the same fucking story. I said, yes, you are, because now it's Friday and we're going to do this thing. And every other project you sell by Monday morning at 8 o'clock. And he looked at me, sir, it would be an honor to have 28,000 soldiers in Mexico stay and an honor to have stay in freaking Mexico. Trump then went on to say the U.S. government managed to retain the 28,000 soldiers for 2 years after the agreement, which would be into 2021, I guess. The 2019 agreement did not set out figures detailing troop numbers along the border and stated the majority would be deployed throughout Mexico, giving priority to its southern border with Guatemala. In a report by the Migration Policy Institute think tank, which assessed the agreement, the White House reported that while 25,000 troops in a new National Guard were created since the tariff agreement, 10,000 were positioned along the southern border of Mexico to Guatemala. These figures weren't taken from a since-deleted 2019 White House press briefings. An archive copy, quoting former acting commissioner of Customs and Border Patrol Mark Morgan, stated, in addition, since June, Mexico has deployed thousands of troops. Well, look. We've created a number of National Guard within their. We've created a new National Guard within their country. They've created it. 10,000 troops to the southern border, 15,000 troops to the northern border, while the United States, again, unprecedented support and cooperation with Mexico. The latter figure was also quoted separately by the Mexican government. The head of the Mexican Army, Luis Crescencio Sandoval, said it had deployed nearly 15,000 units towards the U.S. border, partly consistent with the statement from Morgan. According to a report by Reuters dated June 25th, 2019, Sandoval said there was a total deployment of 14,000, almost 15,000 units between the National Guard and the Army in the north of Mexico. Not on the border, in the north of Mexico. Sandoval said the southern Mexico-Guatemala border had a deployment of 6,500 troops. Per the report, that would be a combined total of around 21,000 across the border of the north and southern Mexican borders. MPI did not report that 28,000 troops were sent to the Mexico's borders, and Newsweek could not find any publicly available data which shows that that many troops were deployed either. It's possible between 2019 and the end of Trump's presidency, further troops may have been deployed to help guard the Mexican borders, putting the total at 28,000, but there is no clear verifiable data to support that conclusion. The number of Trump was quoted isn't entirely consistent either. At a visit to Otay Mesa border wall site in San Diego in September 2019, he put the number at 27,000. As you know, right now we have 27,000 soldiers, so in addition to the wall, we had the soldiers. Although not addressing the 28,000 claim directly, a 2022 article by Spanish-language newspaper El País said that Mexican President Obrador had dismissed comments Trump made discussing the agreement. Mexico isn't being talked about anymore in the United States, and it is important that we Mexicans know why. This year, there are going to be elections in the United States, and both parties are trying to put Mexico on the topic of debate. We are not going to allow any party, any candidate to use Mexico as a piñata. So the ruling is unverified, is where they come. Trump has claimed that Mexico deployed 20,000 troops to this end. Figures from the U.S. government state that Mexico sent 10,000 troops to its U.S. border, another 15 sent to the southern border of Guatemala, which is around 25,000, in the formation of their own National Guard. But separate figures from Mexico said 6,500 were deployed and nearly 15 to the U.S. border, a total of around 21,500. As it stands, there's an inconsistency between the numbers. Based on the evidence so far, Newsweek currently rates the 28,000 as unverified. But let's be abundantly clear. We didn't have 28,000. Nobody says there were 28,000 at the northern border of their country and our southern border.
Safest border we've ever had in this country.
Thanks to COVID.
Ever had. And then as the wall got built longer and longer, but we could have added another 200 miles and they didn't want to do it. And then they ended up selling.
Yeah, but that whole eminent domain and native land thing.
That expensive wall, very expensive. They sold it for 5 cents and 10 cents on the dollar for scrap. And that's when I said, these people really want open borders. It's not even believable.
Right, it's not believable because this was stuff that was supposed to be, they weren't going to use eminent domain to continue the wall and build more access road, which would allow people to go even further.
But we did a hell of a job, I'll tell you, and we'll do it again, and we're going to do it again. Bigger, better, stronger than ever before. It's all going to happen. It's all going to happen. And
yeah, in like 2 weeks.
We have no choice.
Yeah, you have no choice. You're going to actually have to do it this time instead of just talk about it. I guess so.
And if we don't get elected, we have no country any longer. I really believe that these...
Well, yeah, you guys, I mean, you and your family are probably going to have to flee, I guess. What other choice are you going to have? You're going to be a man without a country, probably.
People, they're crazy. These people, what they're doing to our country is insane. Huh? You have to see, some of the people coming into our country these are hardened criminals.
Sure.
These are hard, tough.
Sweaty, oiled up, muscular, probably tattoos. Penis piercings. Yeah, go ahead.
They're prisoners. They make our prisoners look like very nice people. Okay.
No, they don't. No, our prisoners look. We have a lot of prisoners that are really fucked up. Yeah, a lot of face tattoos, a lot of murderers.
Okay, these are hardened criminals. They're coming into our country, and now you're seeing the problem. You saw where they beat the hell out of 2 police officers.
Well, no, they didn't, actually. They tried. They kicked them. They did all kinds of stuff, and they're going to jail for it. Even Alvin Bragg is looking at putting him behind bars. Mr. Let Him Go Free. Let him go! Is locking him up. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that how quickly they turn? And meanwhile, these guys kicked police officers in the neck and head and stuff, and the cops had minor injuries.
In New York City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
And then the DA said, let them go. That's okay. But he goes after Trump.
Right, but you're walking around. Both of you are out while pending trial. Just saying. Sorry. Let's see. New police. Let me see. Yeah, here you go. 7 people indicted in connection with assault on New York police officers outside migrant shelter. Indictments came in to draw attention to the migrants because they were released last without bail. Yorman, Reverend Darwin, Andre Gomez Izquiel, Kelvin Servita Orocha, and Henry Brito were charged with 2 counts of second-degree assault, where a group of people pushed, struggled with, grabbed, or kicked 2 officers. The officers tried to arrest someone. Brito and the 5th man, Wilson Juarez, are each charged with 1 count of tampering with physical evidence. Brito's also charged with a count of hindering prosecution in 3rd degree, because did he get him all the bus tickets to get the fuck out of town? 2 officers sustained minor injuries and were treated at the scene. They did not get the hell kicked out of them. Not for trying. Believe me, these assholes tried to kill these cops. They were trying to kick them in the head. They were trying to kick them in the neck. They were trying to kill these police officers. However, as hardened as these criminals are, the one thing about hardened criminals from, I guess, these countries is that they have very soft feet. That must be the story. I guess that's what happened. When is this? Oh, you fucker. All right, I'm kind of done anyways. Are we done with this asshole? Because I got to go. I got to call my mom back. Gee whiz. And by the way, thank you so much, chat room. I will see you guys tomorrow. I got to get in the car and drive to LA, and then I've got radio in the morning. I'll do it from there. And then, yes, I will call. Also, Jessica Tarla from Fox. We should get Jessica on, absolutely. And by the way, happy birthday, Kelly Berglund, too, while I'm at it. I'm getting my phone ready to call my mom as soon as I hang up. So with you guys. So Kelly Berglund played my daughter on Lab Rats, and she's a wonderful and talented and funny and smart girl, and I wish her all the best in the whole wide world. And yeah, she's just great. Terrific. So, and the rest of you have a beautiful night, and I'll talk to you later, and beware of the kidney. Don't say I didn't warn you. Hit that like on the way out if you could. Share the show, share the clips. Help us out, help us grow the show. If you haven't subscribed, just go ahead and do it. You know you wanna. Come on. What am I gonna tell my mother? That you didn't subscribe? Is that what I... Oi. Oi. All right, I'm gonna go call my mom. Take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else.